This is a test of the City of Palatka audio system.
The City Commission Budget Workshop, August 9th, 2024 at 3:30 p.m. Ms. Krantz, could you read the meeting notice, please?
Yes, ma'am. To Commissioners Tammy McCaskill, Justin Campbell Senior, Will Jones, and Rufus Borum, you're hereby notified a special called workshop of the Palatka City Commission is hereby called to be held on the following dates at City Hall, 201 North Second Street, Plaque, Florida, 32177. The purpose of the workshop is to discuss fiscal year 2024-25 budget. Today is August 9th at City Commission Budget Workshop, 3:30. The next budget workshop is August 29th at 3:30. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Signed, Roberta M. Correa, Mayor.
And before we go too much further, where is City Manager Bell and Finance Director Ms. Connie?
Oh,
It's hard to,
Entering the room as we speak.
okay, Ms. Cotty, do we know what Ms. Cotty is? Okay. Alright. Okay, thank you. We're going to have the invocation by Pastor Mulberry and Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Borum.
Good evening, everyone. Father, again, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together once again. We pray, God, for the wisdom that is necessary to do the business of the city. We pray for the leadership of our city. We pray, God, for every component. We pray that thou would have your way, God, that thou would bless, that you would touch us, remind us of who we are and whose we are. God, as we come before your presence, we pray now that thou would bless the work of our hands as we put our hands to the plow. Help us, Lord. I pray to make decisions that are conducive for moving this city in the right direction. We give you glory now for all you do for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Krantz.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Tammy McCaskill's not present for the record. Commissioner Justin Campbell's excused. Commissioner Will Jones.
present in chambers.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Rufus Borum.
Present.
Mayor Robbie Correa.
Present.
This is a workshop, but I would note you do have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Public comments. I'm going to open the floor up to public comments. Is there anybody here for public comments? Oh, there's some Canadians. With that, I'm going to close public comments and we're going to move on to discussion of the fiscal year budget for 2024-25. Ms. Card. Mr. Bell, whomever.
Yes, ma'am. So we are starting with item A, which is the fourth draft of the fiscal year 24-25. And Ms. Cardy, if you would approach the podium for that. Okay. Mhm.
Didn't get my latest version. Can I use it?
Absolutely.
The one that we were using. Okay, good evening, Mayor. Commissioners, good evening. We are really still actively working on our budget. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sunny. I know I sent it.
This is
Appreciate
the one
that.
you sent, but it says third. Is it the right one, Ms. Cardy?
It has the right amount, so yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this is actually where we are as of like 30 minutes ago. Do you have the other sheets though? Or, oh, okay, but I like that you went to that last sheet. So basically, we are not yet in the process of balancing the budget. We're still making sure that commissioners are aware of the entire amount that department heads and commissioners and city manager and all initiatives are being considered. And in that consideration, where we are as of this moment, expenses are greater than our revenues by the amount of $2,119,169. So that's where we are now.
Sank under the table.
Oh, no, that's not a problem because this is the process that we use every year. We make sure that we give to the commissioners the full picture so you can see like what are the department heads saying that's most critical for them, what you yourself are saying what's critical for you. And then also considering the city manager because sometimes there are initiatives that are just unique to that function. So this is where we are as of this moment. You have not received presentation from some of the department heads. So today our intent is to be certain that we finalize presentations. Some snapshots would be that the decision units, as we understand it right now today, I think I did send you an attachment. Is it okay, City Manager, if I give them a snapshot of decision units presented thus far? You see it? So I sent it the better one to your email. Yeah. And the reason why this is better, even though you have it in your packet, but when I met with the city manager, one of the requests that he made, hey, I'd like to also understand it by fund, like what is being presented as decision units. So like with this one, a little bit different than yours, just one column. What it shows as of this moment for general fund, the decision units equal 1,258,398. And for Public Works, which is 041, equals 1,767,000. And did I skip something? Oh, and sanitation is 132,000. And so if you go to page 2, please. So cumulatively, for all the decision units that we have as of this moment, is 3,157,000 that department heads want to be considered. And of that amount, 633,000 is personnel. 2,383,000 is capital. And you have this in your breakout, and 141,000 is operating. So that's just a better way to kind of look at decision units that have been presented so far. And the other item that I want to make sure that you paid attention to was the proposed new positions, which reconciles to that same 633,000. I sent that, Sunny, the latest version, but it's the same thing, I think. It's the same thing they already have, but so you should also have that in your packet, the proposed new position. Okay. All right, so don't worry about it. They already have it in their packet. I just wanted to say it. Okay. And that's pretty much it. So what we would like to do, let's start with, I believe it's human resources. Thank you.
Just one quick point that I'd like to clarify. We have staff today that are dealing with medical issues. And so that's limited our ability to be able to provide these presentations. Ms. Jones is here with us now, and she's a trooper, and she's going to plow through this, but I would ask your indulgence in letting her skirt out, not skate, skirt out, because she's dealing with a family member and a medical situation. And then one other modification is the Public Works. Joe Verrecchio is going to present on Public Works today, but he's got a relative that is also in the hospital or dealing with a medical issue, so he is not with us to make that presentation.
You wanna postpone this meeting?
Yes.
sir.
We're gonna move forward.
Ms. Jones, come on.
Thank you.
So we can have you.
Okay, for the Human Resource Department for fiscal year 24-25. This is just some of the achievements of what we did in 23-24. We were able to get the W-2 forms in electronic submittal form. So we didn't have to go through all of that printing. We started the employee performance evaluation process, and then we have that moving right along. We did the health screening and the annual wellness incentives, which went over very well. And personnel policy updating process is resumed, as well as continuing with the In the Spotlight. Some notable operation changes and goals for 24-25. It's my desire that we start an implementation of a HRIS system, because our human resource system is kind of out of date, and it'll give more flexibility to our employees, as well as streamline the processes in the human resource department. We're in the process of doing a record retention review. We have a lot of files that the city is still maintaining. A lot of them can be destroyed, have destroy dates, 25 years and beyond. So we want to do that. We also want to start doing some more job fairs in the city and outside of the city, and then doing some quarterly department recognitions, the departments, instead of just streamlining on the individuals, but quarterly department recognitions. So for our operating budget, currently is 265,405. Our proposed operating budget is going to be 236,336. Because we're going from just a director to a coordinator versus a director and generalist position being accounted for. So that's what's going down, although we did add the HRS system, which is 50K into there. The executive salary and advertising, they pretty much remain the same. That executive salary went down, advertising as well decreased, since we're kind of closing in on filling a lot of positions and having full closure in those departments. Our current staff listing is our HR director, HR coordinator. Our proposed is going to be our HR director, HR coordinator, which is going to be 125,345. Current totals and achievements, nothing over there. Proposed total is for capital budget. We didn't have any capital budget last year. The proposed total is 50,000, which is for the implementation of our HRS system, if we're able to get that in, which would really give a lot of more flexibility, like I said, to our employees to be able to pull up things that currently they can only get if someone is present in HR, like copies of W-2s, pay stubs, and that type of stuff. If they lose them once they go out, that's the only way they're going to get them again, is through HR. If we have an HRIS system, then they would have access to that at any time to log in on their phone and pull their information at any time. And it also goes along with them after they leave the city. They'll still be able to get a copy of their W-2 on that. That'll still be just solely for them. So that'll be there. And that's all I have.
Questions of Ms. Jones?
Yes, I have one question on the, it say 135,833. Is that the new
Those,
125?
our current, yes, I'm sorry. Our current staff listing was budgeted last year for a director and generalist. Okay, so that was higher. So this year we're literally budgeting for the coordinator position, not a generalist. So it's overexpended from last year. It's where it should be for this upcoming year. Not overexpended, I said the wrong thing. It was over budgeted because that was the direction that y'all wanted to go in last year. But this year we're gonna have the director coordinator position, and it looks lower, but the decrease really in what we're seeing in the bottom line of our operating is really going to be that advertising went down. because we budgeted a lot, because we had a lot of vacant positions, as well as the executive salary, which housed the generalist and the director. So it's now only housing the director,
Okay.
So what's your title right now?
generalist.
So we're doing away with journalists? That's what proposed? And
Yes.
you-
Okay.
you-
Yeah.
You're proposing a promotion to yourself?
No.
'Cause-
In actuality, so we don't get confused, the director position is the title is generalist. The only,
The title is different than the role.
yeah, the only difference in the role is taking the SHRM certification, testing, which is what I've been asked for by every city manager that has been present, including the interim. I've been asked to take that test. It's not going to change the job that I do, but it will just change a title. And that's it. So. But
So-
I would be more than willing to house the generalist position. But as soon as that open window come back in already ready to take that test, it would budget us for the position to move into that position. So if it's the desire of the commission, I can move that down to a generalist and a coordinator position on both sides and just budget it that way. So.
Just leave it like it is.
Some additional items that don't specifically have budgetary impacts. HR has begun to put together an engagement committee with a representative from each of the departments to be able to work in implementing HR activities throughout the organization. The first of which they're currently working on is a survey of all the staff. They started about a month and a half ago. I'm beginning to work on pulling together a staff survey that would be across the organization with a version of that would allow each of the departments to drill down and survey within their organizations more specifically. The general survey across the organization is anonymous. So this engagement group will be working to get that out with the public information officer, Mr. Willett, using one of the virtual online versions such as SurveyMonkey. And we hope that eventually we'll be able to segue into a customer satisfaction survey that we can implement across the city. So
Is that something that we want to do right now and get those results?
well, they're in the process of implementing that as we speak. So hopefully it will go live in October, if not earlier than that.
Okay.
Any further questions of Ms. Jones? As she needs to get out of here.
When would that be out? When will we see the results from that?
He said
Huh?
October.
First set of evals out, we get the data back October.
All right. They come to us first?
It comes to staff first.
Oh,
and
no, it
we'll
should come-
share that with the commission.
Staff report to the city manager. They don't report to us, just to clarify again. Anything else of Ms. Jones? Thank you, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Best of luck, best wishes, hope everything's okay. Next is the Better Place Fund. Jonathan coming in.
Okay.
Or are you gonna-
It's not live. I mean, it's not on. It is?
Of course it is. It's a public announcement.
Be interested in seeing those surveys.
Cemetery, streets, sanitation. We're missing the Better Place document.
It's in our packet.
Grab that folder. Thank you.
Yeah.
We had some additional notes. Okay, all right. So
Better play.
Yes. So appreciate you bearing with us because this is originally going to be presentation by another staff member. So you want to?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, come on.
It's fine. Keep moving along. Community affairs, code enforcement.
Give me just a moment. I wasn't ready to quite pull up Betty yet, but give me a sec.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll come back.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
It's different than what we have.
We actually, I made some changes and I'll give you got it. The numbers are saying it's just a little bit more. Achievement.
Oh, wow, okay.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you. And are you starting with code enforcement?
I like it. See, Ms. Krantz got Jenkins up, so we're, okay, code enforcement is up, so we good.
I just pulled them all.
Yeah.
Code enforcement,
Code enforcement.
Eddie Cartwright, 1900 Napoleon Street.
This guy.
He got it right. Presentation. All right, per the last workshop y'all had, y'all kind of hinted that you wanted a little bit more details. And also you wanted some org charts. So I made a few changes after we had already submitted this Sunday. So I do apologize for the confusion, but hopefully the presentation kind of give you more, capture a little bit more of what we got going on. So here we go. Code enforcement. First you see is just a standard org chart, and that's everybody in my departments. As we break down into this presentation, you'll see the actual org charts for that department. Next slide, Sonny. Some of our achievements here, we'll perform, average of 50 lien searches a month in the process, but we also are switching into orange data. Taking over 135 cases before the special matters hearing with a successful rate of 85 being found with liens or fines enforced. I don't want to jump up there. We're cleaning up the Blight the Right program. We have, as of date, had 5 abatement cleanups. You'll see the pictures in the next couple of slides. Working with organizations to create a program that can assist homeowners with financial challenges with low-hanging fruit code enforcement violations. We have something in place with the city, but we're also trying to reach out to some local churches, fraternities, and organizations to kind of be the manpower for this work. Some of the people that can't get it done. Next slide. As you can see, these are some of the houses and some of the properties and cases that we have had that we have brought into compliance. The top picture is the before and the bottom picture is the after. Next slide. Some of our notable operation changes and goals for 24-25. We want to increase our workload with the cases. So we're trying to bring, instead of 10 to 15 a month, we're gonna try to bring 20 a month to the special matters hearing. Normally with those numbers, caseload, by the time we get to the hearing, 5 or 6 of them have already came in compliance. So collect over $20,000 in lien reduction fees. This past year, we was right at close to $100,000 when everything said and done, and I actually got 3 checks in my office now that I got a batch to put more money into the code enforcement fund. Continue the Blight cleanup program. Establish a rotating patrol zone for every 6 months. And what that means is I'm gonna rotate my officers from different areas so it won't get too comfortable. Sometimes when you're in the same area for a long period of time, you create personal friendships or relationships. So that's what I want to do. Create a pilot program for volunteer code enforcement. We have a lot of code enforcement complainers or city
Concerned citizens.
concerned citizens that is really very concerned. So we're going to try to, their voice is very loud. So let's put them on the team and see if they can help us and make us grow even better. And continue to take the 5 or more Blight the Bright properties to the abatement stages. And that's a collaboration we have with Ms. West, and she's doing a wonderful job with that. Next slide, Sonny. Right now, operation budget is at $211,622. We are proposing 312,0119. The notable increase of that is what I'm asking for is I'm asking for 2 more part-time code enforcement officers. One to be a data clerk to kind of help keep the timelines on staff. Another one to give us a 3-zone, so we can break the city in 3 zones instead of just 2. And that way we can move the city a little further. And then we got an increase from our special magistrates. He went from $450 a month to $600. And then the postage and filing has gone up sky high. I mean, we started out this about $7, $8 a filing. Sonny, what it is now? About 14?
It's past 8
Yeah,
for a certified letter,
Yeah.
for one certified letter. And keep in mind, they do multiple
Yeah.
per case.
we have at least 5 letters per case per hearing. So if we take it back to 2 or 3 hearings, that's 28 letters that we sent out. Next slide. This is where you'll see the personnel, myself, and then you got the code enforcement officer, David and Christy, and then you got my admin assistant is Jessica Cruz. Some of the things we got currently in our personnel, in our current contracts, we deal with Outworks was $5,500 a year. Special Mr. Brown at this time was 54, and Simplify is 5,000. The notable increase on the other side, you'll see where Mr. Brown's contract is slated to go up about $2,200. And then Simplify is slated to go up about $1,500 with the increase in the filing and fees. Next slide. Only thing we had on the decision unit was the 2 code enforcement officers that I was asking for. And they 2 part-times, but if we can get 1, I would take whatever y'all want to give us.
For the vehicle too.
Well, that's just the future. I will, future. Yeah, the decision unit is just the 2 code enforcement officers. Yeah,
Okay.
and I do have on the upgraded vehicle. That's gonna be down the line, so I just want to get that thought process in your head. And if we do get a couple more people, I might need a vehicle.
I had mentioned this in the past, and this would free up the existing code enforcement officers, but could the CRA fund a code enforcement officer even a part-time position to cover the CRA districts, freeing up the existing code enforcement officers to cover the rest of the city, rather than taking it all out of the general fund?
I believe we currently have an agreement with the CRA where they, right,
But again, if you want a new additional positions. is what I'm
Okay.
saying.
increase the amount.
Which is in, we'd have to
Right.
obviously go before the CRA board, but it is in here for 2 part-time positions.
Sure.
Could one of those be attributed to the CRA, at least one of the part-times?
Mhm.
That seemed like it will work, because it'd be an offset.
That's right, then it
Right.
free up
Exactly.
existing employees to
Yes.
cover the rest of the
For
city.
the part-time.
Right.
Yeah,
That could be dealt with in maybe 2 ways, and you could decide which way would work best.
it's just a thought, again, to
Mhm.
not expend general fund monies, and we have the CRA funds, so.
Right. And if I commend Mr. Cutright on looking at the possibility of rotating officers through the 4 zones.
Mhm.
If that should not fail, I'll take should not succeed, I'll take responsibility for it, because he's reacting to my request to try that out to see if it'll work.
I think it's worth a try. Also, I think you get, I don't mean complacent is not the right word, but when you see the same places day in and day out, you don't
Right.
notice as much
Exactly.
either, not just besides friendships and being a good,
Fresh set of eyes is always helpful, right?
He has a good idea, with the way he wanna do the rotation.
Any other questions?
I
about
appreciate
code
that.
May I?
enforcement?
No, whatever we can do. to
Yes.
help.
Before we switch gears to the next presentation, just wanted to let you know Commissioner Campbell's joined us.
Okay.
Okay,
Which,
we good?
now, which department are we going to now? Which?
Which one next pop up, Sonny?
How about Jenkins?
That'll be work, that'll Friday.
Jenkins?
Jenkins. Okay. Jenkins, again, Eddie Cutright, 1900 Napoleon Street.
It's coming back.
Okay.
Okay, Jenkins,
Is that in Palatka?
it's right on the outskirts. It's we like a, can we go to the next slide, Sonny? This is just, again, every department, you'll see this org chart up, but as you get into the meat, you'll see the breakdown of departments or what I have in each department. Next slide, Sonny. Okay, Jenkins, and as you know, we moved into Jenkins in November of 2023 last year. We have completed some interior and exterior renovations to the gym floor and multipurpose room. If you haven't been by recently, the gym floor look nice. We still got a few touch-ups to go, but it's coming along real well. Housed and staffed the Jenkins Community Center beginning, like I said, since November 2023, utilizing the parking lot to provide 5 food drives with the Northside community. Class of 76 has been instrumental in helping us with do the farm chef food drives, and we do those quarterly. Previously host several outdoor sporting events after requiring an MOU with the county, with the school board, which they utilize the backfield that we can use now. Coordinated with the Palatka Police Department to do active shooting drills last year, and hopefully we can kind of continue to do something like that with them. Held 5 community engagement meetings. We had 2 outreach meetings for the community. We had 2 meetings that was held for our African American culture, Palatka historical focus group that we was trying to form. Then the next one, we did create a team, a focus team, to kind of help us get some ideas of what we wanted to do to bring the Afro-American historical kiosks to the building. Next slide. Here's a few pictures of some of the things we have done in the building and some of the people. As you see, the AC units on top of Jenkins has been completed, and it's actually pretty cool inside the gymnasium. To the top right, that was our teen night, led by our wonderful intern, Dante Wickerson. And that young man to the right of that is a handsome gentleman, Tennessee.
And
Bottom,
modest, too.
bottom middle is the Afro-American focus team that we have that went to different African-American museums along Gainesville, Palm Coast, and St. John's to kind of get an idea of what we wanted to bring. And the meeting, the bottom right, is one of the meetings they have had in there to discuss some of the things they came up with. Next slide.
It's like a wide right.
All right, notable operational changes and goals for 20. Open to the public for operation. We're looking at trying to get the building open full time. Right now, we're slated with repairs to probably be somewhere October or late November before we can say we open up full time, but it's coming along, as long as we don't have any more glitches or any kind of equipment issues or renovation issues. Outdoor sporting events and programs. We are definitely, you'll see more of that in the recreation department. You'll see the pictures that we have done, but we want to increase that. We want to have more stuff inside the facility, outdoors and indoor. We're gonna bring pickleball, and we're gonna do flag football, baseball, volleyball. Naming of the facility is a key. Right now, we've been going as just Jenkins Community Center. I think eventually, in the next couple of months, we need to come up with a detailed name. Where we have tasked the African-American kiosk group or the focus team was to bring some ideas, bring about 6 or 7 that we can bring to the commissioners to kind of vote on what y'all wanted it to be. All right. We had 2 North Florida Eastern Regional Strategy Planning meetings there, increased. We wanted to bring an after-school program to help flourish the kids, creating room space where moms and dads, and this was one of some of my staff, they want to make sure we have somewhere where parents can get some resources. Partnership with organizations to teach and prepare CNA and Babalami certificates. We just want to make sure that building is used by the whole community and get some nice daily use out of it. Next slide. Right now, our current operation is 51,718. And again, that was a partial use. We didn't have an open where it's fully. We have projected if we use the facility as a whole and open up some more rooms and have the AC units and everything running like they should, it'll increase to probably about 86.6. And that right there would increases to hours of operations, weekend offer programs, and also hours of weekend program. And then also coordinating, rotating for coordinator for rotating resources for civic. So we need another body in Jenkins. Once we open up and run it Tuesday through Saturday, 12-hour shift days to kind of go from 10 to 8, we're gonna need another body in there to help staffing, ratio, and everything else. All right.
So you say you work 12-hour shifts?
We're gonna have the building open, not personnel, not one person, but we want to run it from 10 to 8 once it becomes a full community center. So where we can do operationals during the daytime, 10 to 6, and then really from about 3 to 8, it can be a community center where people come in and utilize basketball programs and stuff of that nature. Next slide. As you see, personnel, right now over there at Jenkins as the community center, rec center, outreach program, we have myself, Reno Fails is the coordinator, and then we have our rec tech, which he handles mostly the fields. We have 7 fields that we have: Forester, Fred Green, Booker Park, Shawbuck, that we maintain, keeping in good condition. And then Jessica is my assistant, she'll be on all the slides.
Before you.
Mhm.
Question. You just mentioned, you have all these fields, but you're doing all the stuff outside in the back of Jenkins. So, as we talk about decision unit, can we decide if we're gonna utilize these other fields, stop paying turf maintenance on these other fields, there's nothing going on, close down or purpose some of these fields, or let's utilize it. I think that's something we need to really discuss and make happen one way or the other, because we have the fields and we're taking care of them, but we're not utilizing them.
That is a good question, Commissioner Jones, and I actually I'm creating a little PowerPoint slide to give you the pros and cons of both. I am in favor of maybe condensing some of these fields, because 5 fields is not easy to maintain. Cody is out there 5, 6 hours a day doing just one field, because cutting, tilling, trimming, all that stuff. And then as you see the rainy season, that's a regular job every other day. Now, utilizing my focus the last 5 months was trying to bring notoriety and foot traffic to Jenkins. We definitely will use some of the fields. Condensing them is not a bad idea. Hiring an in-staff person to do the agricultural piece where they do spraying the field and cutting the big yard is a good option too, because we pay them $55,500 a year for them to do that service. So we can kind of look at doing that in-house. I think if you let me get a presentation to you in the next couple of weeks, that you'll see the benefits either way, and then we can make a decision from there.
Appreciate it.
Also, so I know it's different between parks and then recreation, but and just while we're on recreation, city manager might be able to help me with this. We have a park or a dissolved park, a city property on 9th and Olive. 10th and Olive. 10th and Olive, right?
Mhm.
North or south?
Oh, what about Old Calvary area?
No South Olive.
Oh, like Calvary area?
Yeah,
Right.
it's right on the corner of 10th and Olive.
Yeah.
So it's and so the grass is growing up.
okay.
And what got my attention is this morning, the inmate crew was doing the right of way, but it basically like they gave an edge to the outgrown weeds over there. I mean, it's growing up really bad. So do our parks department supposed to clean that up? Who?
Is that technically considered a park, or is it a city-owned lot?
It's a city-owned park lot.
Okay, so those
It
works
used
together.
to be a park. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you got. That's what it was. It's still in
I
the,
can answer that question. If it's still registered as a park in the GL line, Joe Dem Streets and Parks will take care of that. It'll be Daniel Nicholson and the inmate crew would kind of take care of that. If it's a functional park where we have programs like Fred Green, Forester, or Sweet Armsfield, Shawboat, that falls up on the recreation.
You're saying it's not a functional field.
no, it's just grown
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
But
so-
it's our property that we have to
Overgrown.
maintain, but it's not being maintained.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a code.
So that's
We
one of
need
those
to
things I
clarify
think
that.
Commissioner Campbell mentioned. Let's clean up our stuff first
Mm-hmm.
before we. So I just want to know who's responsible.
And I'll get with you out the line and get the detail, the exact address, and we'll get somebody out to take a look at it.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh,
mm,
1 second.
Mhm.
You know, you got another field or park right up River Street. You go over
Mhm, yes.
Railroad.
Palatka
Right.
Heights.
We need to figure out what we're gonna do with that as well, because you gotta
Community
back
garden.
it's not representative of what it should look like. You got two raggedy basketball goals that
Mhm.
is
Right.
not, all that stuff should come out, and if we need to refresh that area, and then also just across the street,
Right.
there's a little park, got outdated equipment there. I do know people use that park
Mhm.
from time to time. They use that park, so we need to figure out.
So every day.
Yeah, we need to update that.
The community garden concept, which is a hard one to maintain too, to keep people up with that, but that would serve as a great community garden.
Right.
It's partially that anyway.
That's a pretty nice area, and then also
Perhaps
to piggyback off of what
Or dog park, yeah, that's true.
if
Because
we
people
are.
have been asking for dog parks for a while.
right. Well, I mean, that could be. It can be a dog park.
Right,
We can,
we just need to talk
Right.
about it, make some
Right.
decisions, I agree.
Right.
well, we can certainly make it out of one. But the other thing, piggyback off of Commissioner Jones, what he said about that area 10th and Olive, it got outdated. Yeah, I think it had like a little small. I don't know what you want to call it. It's hard to even identify and name it, but it is outdated. And so we need to figure out what we want to do with that area. And again, we need to keep our areas up off the blighted program.
Mhm.
And figure out whether we want to sell it or whatever. We just need to do something with these property.
So I would take note on all that, and I would get with Joe and Daniel, the streets and park guy, and we'll go by and look at every last one of them and see what we can come up with to maintain them.
Make sure you include me on that.
We'll do both. All right.
Any other questions? Okay.
When you say, or you say you were gonna get the costs associated with, because you mentioned you were gonna get the cost for the total cost of ownership for that one, just say for instance, you had one of your guys go out and do the mowing.
Tilling and
tilling
dragging and
those
all that.
different things. Then you got maintenance on your equipment that you have
Yes.
to also factor in. So just look at the total cost of ownership to do that one field with that individual and see what
Okay.
value that
I
brings.
can do that. I can bring that back to you, break down. And what I do is I just break down most all the fields, the ones we maintaining now, and then also the ones that y'all brought to our attention that hasn't been maintained. Okay.
And just to, can we add the I know the palm bowl looks beautiful right now, but again, what's the intended use or future use of the palm bowl?
So
Just to add to the list.
Mhm.
we have grant funding that's directed at that as a dog park.
Yeah.
And we're trying to develop that concept to bring it back to you.
The palm bowls at that car.
Laurel and
Car.
Oh,
and-
Far,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
15th Street.
Yeah. And
It
also,
was used as a staging for the road
Mhm.
Infrastructure work, and now it does look really nice now.
Yeah, nice palm trees
Yeah,
in
it's
it.
palm trees. Thus the palm bowl again.
Right.
and also it's been conversation about right behind Fred Green Park over there where the used to be the sand volleyball. It's converting that to like a dog park in that community over there. It's been some conversation. Haven't went no more than just conversation right now, but I just want to let you know that's out there too.
Happy Marsh or something.
Putting a dog park there.
That's what's been conversation. I won't say we're looking at doing anything, but that's a conversation.
There's a lot of current usage.
Yeah. And that's one of the,
like that.
that was one of the reasons why we said it's already kind of been used that way.
And
Yeah.
then you got a lot of
Station.
homeless people now.
Yeah.
Beginning.
Yeah.
Take
Assemble there.
that park over. I
Yeah.
got a couple pictures of
Maybe
it, but
right.
Yeah, we
we need to make sure that's an active little area.
and that's why I was getting to it. We keep more foot traffic out there.
Mhm.
It'll push some of them away. Because we do have a lot of break-ins and vandalism into our bathrooms right there, but we're trying to work that out with local law enforcement anyway. Next slide.
We do have budgeted for dog stations as well. That's not included in this, but just
Good.
Mhm.
Yep.
dog waste stations.
All right, and
Yeah.
currently what we're looking at right now, and it was allocated in the grant funding that we got for the Jenkins building. It's 35,000 for the work on the Afro-American kiosks. What we're looking for next year, we really can't really make a decision until I get all the renovations done and everything taken care of to know exactly what we're gonna need. With the renovations to the building, I think it comes up to about 1 million. Hopefully that to take care of a lot of stuff and give us some longevity, but I can't gauge of what we're gonna need until after we see the finished product.
Any other questions?
Have they done completed the sprinkler system
Sprinkler system, which
or
was,
suppression, whatever they said?
no, that don't start The MIE, which is the contractor that we hired, came in last Friday and kind of did an assessment and kind of did a way he's gonna do a staging area for his equipment when he gets started. He hasn't gave me a definitive date, but we're looking at probably the end of this month, 1st of September, when he start all that. And then he gave me a 2.5 week start to finish guesstimated.
I got another question for recreation. Have recreation. I know we're talking about, we're still in recreation. Now we get to recreation.
Now we get a
Sorry,
recreation.
Go ahead.
Recreation next.
Good.
I think you were gonna mention something about the basketball.
Oh, well, I said in renovation to the floor, I talked to that earlier in the beginning, the floor was done at Jenkins. And then you'll see it again into this right here, but the floor in Jenkins basketball court look nice. And we're doing one more wax coat on it and you can come and see it. It should be pretty good. Me, Reno, and a couple guys played some basketball in there. It held up for me.
Oh, one question before you continue to move on. So what I understand clearly about the park that's up on River Street over
Mhm. Bye bye, Azalea.
so we're gonna make that, we're gonna try to create activity there. We're gonna are we gonna refresh?
Well, I can only speak because that's actually not my department, because that's street and parks, but I can get with Joe and Daniel and see exactly what they want to do, and I can give them some ideas to kind of help and then we can start bringing some programs out there to it to make sure we can keep some foot traffic.
Because people are using that
Yeah.
quite a bit, but then,
Okay.
then the dog park for Fred Green.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So recreation here, 2025, 24, 25, same slide you see on every last one of them. All right, some of the achievements had offers over from, it should be 9 in semicolon, offered over 9 various sports programs since January of 2023. Serves over 40,000 youth, 450 youth, and that's has generated somewhere over $25,000 with sponsorships and registrations. The Community Fairs Challenge has over 65 registered participants. Mobile Rec we did over the past year. We kind of took a little break when we got into Jenkins, try to move things to Jenkins, but we did different communities throughout the city. James A. Long, different other community outreach places the way we brought the camp to them. Instead of having a rec camp at Jenkins, we brought the camps to the neighborhoods. Held 6 community engagement meetings, partnership with RBI program. We took 52 kids to a Tampa Bay game early last year. Organized field trips for Out of Town Museum, as we spoke about that with the historical Afro-American culture focus team that we created. Organized several meet and greets for our community. So we've been engaged there. We do things in recreation that Reno has kept going pretty good. The next slide, just to give you some of the things that we've been doing. We had a softball, we had a co-ed, and also we had a men's league softball. And it was a 6-week program for each one of those. The top middle, I guess, the third slide from the left is actually the Afro-American focus team that we created. We just did a backpack giveaway with Powell over at the Calvary Missionary, or Calvary at the church. And as you can see, Mr. Fells and Mr. Bell was there giving out stuff to the kids. Flag football, the big picture with that big handsome coach. Soccer, we did the down to the right. We had a engagement meeting down at the St. John's River Center that we had our wonderful mayor talking and speaking to. Next slide. Visions for Jenkins Community Center, and as you see, that's in recreation, because as we continue to move this, we should have recreation and Jenkins become one budget. That's my vision. It's easy to talk that way, and then talking about the same thing with 2 different buildings, 2 different departments. So vision for the Jenkins Community Center, adding indoor and outdoor programs for children, which we're doing that slowly and continue to grow on that. Adding to our departments with indoor and outdoor activities, which we're going to kind of deal that with creating more senior programs. Create a safe and comfortable place for children to come and study, do homework, and help prepare for testing. The computer room that we're going to have right in the front of the multipurpose room will be set up with 5 kiosks, 5 community kiosks where the kids can come in and kind of do study. And do after school homework, job search and everything. And then the left side of that will be what they call a gaming station. We got 265 TVs we're gonna hang up, 2 PlayStations, and they'll be at the Blue Gaming Station after they did the homework. Partner with outreach programs and service to be more accessible to the public, generate more sponsorships and funding through grant funding. Reno and myself are still looking for low grant fundings, $10,000 to $50,000 grants that we can get bring over to help us do some programming and create a safe haven for the kids of Palatka. Next slide. Currently, the recreation budget is 211,300. The proposed is 250,962. I ain't got my glasses on, so I need to look down here because that is getting blurry.
You did it.
Yeah. Additionally, what the notable changes of that is, again, with Jenkins, this is where I said we needed one more full-time person because the building itself, Reno needs site people, but we also need somebody to clean that building. Right now, we got a partnership with Public Works that Ben cleans it once a week. Once we increase foot traffic in there, that is not gonna work. Jenkins, the facility,
The whole facility once a week?
and actually he only just cleaned our staffing office.
Wow.
Well, I think some good options or some things that could help us along where you got to look at good. Things are good, I have to go back and say, maybe something that we could look into. When you deal with probation and parole, you could actually partner with them and we'd be a facility that people can do their community hours at the center. People look for those opportunities, then we could maybe get people with just misdemeanors or something because they can work around children, to do the maintenance or do it after we close and no kids are around, they could go and they can clean the facility. That'll give us a steady stream of volunteer, and no cost to us.
Yeah.
So all that just sound like.
Now, we have done it a few in the past, but we never thought about it that big scale, but that does make sense to see if we can get a better rotation of them. But again, like you said, they got to be low-level offenses because we can't have them around. But I like that idea. We can try that. And also, hopefully, y'all will find it gracious to just give me a cleaning staff. But
How much, you gotta put a budget out there,
well, it's somebody, I got the city unit. It's the city unit. It's gonna come.
We actually have, did we hire a facilities person?
Well, that was the conversation that we had last year, and you hired the one for Public Works to clean all the facilities. Joe is not here to defend himself, so I do apologize for throwing him under the bus. But it's just not, Ben is doing what he can. But there's so many facilities and so many other things he has to be attended to that sometimes other areas don't get as clean as they need to be clean.
Jenkins is a large facility, and if it is operating at full capacity, it would be really difficult to not have somebody.
It'll be one person.
That their specific job. I mean, it really is a big undertaking.
28,000 square footage.
It's not big enough. It's not big enough for one person to be a full-time person at one spot.
Well, that's where the full-time person will be a rec/cleaning staff. He'll do site stuff too. He won't just be cleaning. He will actually be going out doing, when we do programs, he'll be site. He also help with attendance when we do stuff in the gym. So he'll give us another number for the ratio that we need to have for kids in the building. So he won't just be just a cleaner, but he'll have multi jobs. So we're hybrid role.
And that's what we're working with now with the facilities crew. They do both cleaning and maintenance and various other tasks throughout the facility. So it won't be the first time we have hybrid approach to that.
Have we considered city, I was at the courthouse today, and they have just a cleaning staff for the entire, they have the annex, they have the customer service in the courthouse, so they have cleaning crew. So that mean they get City Hall,
Right.
the gymnasium, Public Works, and annex, whatever. But so you have more than one person. You have a crew of like 3 or 4 people.
Right.
Janitorial staff, maybe.
Right. I think I think each department should allocate a portion of the funds for those type services. That way it's a shared cost. as opposed to just having it coming out of, it can all go to the general fund from their budget
Right.
for the purpose of cleaning up the facilities. And I
Mhm.
think that will help in that regard. Yeah.
And may I,
Department,
You would do that with city, we would have city positions to do that versus contracting out. It's a question.
y'all have a guy, right?
It's been
Well,
my
not
experience when
everybody.
you contract that out.
I'd like to, and that's why I'm just checking.
Now, can I add my little 2 cents to that? If we would do that, I would prefer, my personal opinion, that we do a city staff, they be city staff.
Yes.
Because we did the contract
We're
before
just
and,
talking about
And
that.
and,
okay,
good. That's good. Yes.
Just, we got,
because,
their job is cleaning up.
yes, because I know in the past when we were trying to get the contractors come clean, when we had something just came out of the blue, it was, that ain't my contract, or you gotta pay me X, Y, Z.
Right,
So
right, no.
thank you.
These people, that's what their job is.
All right. Next slide, Sonny.
Custodial staff.
Again, at the personnel you'll see in the recreation department, again, Reno Fails. And I thought I said it, and Cody. Cody is the staff that we have, and Cody is the guy that does the field. I think I said this, we already had this.
You did?
Yeah. All right.
I don't remember Ag Pro.
AquaPro is that's the field. Those are ones that come in and spray the field and do the chemicals on the field. That's the company that's out of Jackson, well, Green Cove, that we pay $55,000 a year to.
If we reduce those fields, we
Yes.
reduce that cost.
Yes, we already been conversations about how would the cost change depending on how many fields, and it's also the scope of service.
And could you do when you say you're gonna bring that, your slides, show back to us or whatever, your needs assessment, do you actually need them, these fields that we have? You know, that would help us in making those decisions.
What I can do is give you the breakdown of all the fields, and then I give you my recommendation of how many fields that we could use and function with what we got going on and what programs we're trying to bring on in the future.
And resources.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that field that you were referring to on Olive and 10th Street, it is not a city-owned property. So somehow or another, it started being maintained
It's
and
not,
it's not a city-owned property,
it's private owner or
private owned.
really?
Yes. So
Code violations.
it's overgrown. Yeah,
Okay,
it's a mystery.
we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at the
Yeah,
field.
that's fine. I just
Ne-
know the history on that.
Now, the next slide, which is it would be here for decision unit, but it was already put into the Jenkins facility as another person. So that's where that's at. If you're looking for it, decision unit was made, but we just go ahead and move it to the place where that person will be kind of out. All right. Last but not least, well, actually, we have 2 more to go. Next one should be cultural arts.
Talk your art staff.
Courtney James.
Singular.
Well,
I know you.
I'm a hybrid,
I've asked that question several times,
Yeah.
culture arts, what line item that come out of that page?
03.
That stuff come out of, and then it says you have all the staff, I'm like,
But
it just
again,
confused me, but I'm not gonna.
yeah. So
prolong it.
let's go to next slide, son. Next slide. Lady. All right, so achievements over 23-24. As you can see, we did several different events down there in the culture arts event. Most of these are at the riverfront or river center, but they're all over the city for this event that we have done in the culture arts. And part of this is Courtney, and right now Jessica has their hands in most of these things right here. We have did the 4th of July Bass Elite Whiff Tournament, Blue Crab, Azalea Festival, Juneteenth. We had Hippie to Hoppy, we had Jingle Jam, Trunk or Treat, Unity Day, First Responder Day, Botch and Frolic, occupation of Palatka. Next slide.
Question on
Yeah,
that.
go back.
We haven't had a whole lot of those, well, some of those events up there are fairly new. In terms of, how the program has been expanded, so I can see a lot of new things up there
Yes.
as it relates to the things that you guys are putting
Trying-
out.
Yeah, we're trying to listen to the voice of the community and bring different programs, and also with new staff and new fresh eyes and fresh ideas comes different things we bring to.
So
Next
we
slide.
just want to make sure we identify and highlight
Okay,
those additional things
Okay.
that's been added since you've been on the program.
okay, yes.
And that's some of them are in partnership with other organizations. You don't want to alienate people that
Yeah.
some of the work as well.
Especially trunk or treat. I don't want to make Chief Shaw mad.
No, I'm not talking.
I'm just joking.
I'm not talking about that one.
Well, what I, with that, I'll go to the next slide, because
Next slide.
you might be about to show it to.
Well, these are just some of the pictures of some of the events that we have done that you see on the slide before. Like it's down to the right, up top is 4th of July. The Juneteenth is where you see the middle. That one right there should have been 4th of July. Unity Day, Blue Crab, and so on and so on. And then
So, to the point that some interested parties were talking and speaking on, there are nothing's cataloged up there that we did at the River Center.
yes.
I know the River Center had been under construction and stuff like that, but I really think that
That's that we've been in the middle.
Well, the River Center itself is the host of most of those riverfront events, and they're rented out. Like any event that we've done at the River Center, that's our event. We haven't got funding for, but anything like the Blue Crab, Vaseline, and all that stuff, they utilize the River Center and they pay us for that.
but what I'm saying is, it should be at least cataloged so that we could show that we do use that
Mhm.
place
And
to whatever capacity.
so that was the events that we had. The next slide you'll see kind of talks about River Center. All right, reopening the River Center, volunteer staff repairs, partnership with, we did all counts at the River Center. We did kiosks, we're doing sunset socials now at the River Center. That's where we do a lot of rentals with those organizations up on there at the River Center that they rent out the River Center for utilization here. Yeah, Waste Pro. So a lot of those have rented out, have did some type of rental at the River Center to kind of utilize it itself. But and now with the sunset socials that we're trying to bring down now in different trivia nights, we're gonna try to utilize the River Center a whole lot more. And again, up into really mid-January, we really didn't have the River Center like we wanted to, because we opened it up back in November, but we still had roof issues. We still had some other issues that we were dealing with. So we're just now starting to get the full use of the River Center there.
I did hear that we had still roof leaks over there. That's what I kind of heard a lot.
Yes.
So my understanding from the last time we discussed it before Dale left, that is still within that year timeframe for warranty work. So just kind of FYI on that.
Yes, me and Joe sat down day before yesterday and talked about all that right there and talked about the roof, and he's gonna get that contractor back out to seal, try to see if he can seal it. So it's leaking in 2 spots. One over there by the elevator shaft in the conference room, and then in the window sill right there by used to be the tree kiosk right there when you walk in. So those are the 2 spots that's leaking at.
Is that the same, the repeats?
The one window sill is a repeat. Next slide. I know I can't see the eyes got blurred now. All right, operation notes and goals for 24-25. Again, we're gonna reopen it and continue to work with the volunteers to kind of get an idea of what they want to bring. We got a wonderful volunteer staff down there. Adding programs and events in the St. John's River Center, offer more field trips for schools and youth programs. Weekend boat rides with the Palatka Pride, trying to get that coordinated to the point where we host some people out of the River Center. Participating I can't even say it. Conservation events that align with the message of St. John's River and the Bartram Frolic and keep Putnam beautiful. Host more social and eco-friendly events down there. And that's where you was at, Mr. Commissioner Jones, is trying to do more things inside the building itself. In the past, we just kind of used the rooftop in the area around it, but we're gonna try to bring more foot traffic inside the building. And we also want to create a novelty shop / gift shop to sell stuff that is St. John's River Memorable of Palatka. And we're trying to partnership with the high school and the college to get a couple of kids to create some type of art designs that we can utilize inside the river center and sell. Renew contracts, and this is more aligned with the dollar-a-year leases that Courtney is still handling, taking care of too. Renew some of the contracts that we have in place, which is Tillman House and Harder Putnam. Look to finalize and contract all the dollar-a-year leases, which, as you can see, those are the contracts that we need to work on and kind of get an idea. Miss Cardi and Mr. Bell is kind of taking the lead on that, and hopefully we can get a better gauge of consistency of these contracts.
Yep.
Next slide.
Is the Heart of Putnam still gonna remain?
That is, we reached out to Mr. Weller, and he's supposed to meet with me next week and kind of discuss.
Because obviously in this community, there's always rumors and there's.
Yeah.
rumors.
Part of Putnam is over there on South 13th still?
Yes, that's the food.
And the other building we own, this is just a question, at the entry to Ravine Gardens. Why do we still own that building and what do we do with it?
To my Jurassic Park.
Put a pool over there. What it used to be, that's a,
It's just not been used.
no, it is of use. We haven't used that, and I think,
That's what I'm saying. It's
we're
not-
talking, but we can. And it used to be a park owned by the city. That's how I think we still own the building.
We do.
And, that's one thing your recreation department does not have. And with us being in the state of Florida, surrounded by water, it would be great to have a public city pool.
I
That
agree.
location is already have been successful in being a pool at that location, and we should be able to try to at least, since we own the land, we wouldn't have to purchase any land, we could purpose that building
Mhm.
and see about getting a swimming pool over there.
Yep.
That's part of recreation, wouldn't it be, isn't it?
I agree with that, because like again, we are a peninsula state, surrounded by water on all three sides. And so and then not the governor passed a bill,
Exactly.
and Senator Hudson, as well as another not a senator, but the representative, they all pitched in on this one bill and they passed this, and I forgot how much money they put in, but I sent it to myself to the city, and I was gonna be asking for funds for that specific purpose, because we have had things as it relates to trying to put things in place for people learning how to swim. And I think Senator Hudson had something along the lines where he had one of his family members almost drown as a result, and he made a commitment that he would make sure that he would support something along those lines. But they worked with the governor signed it, so we should be helping to lead that charge as a municipality.
Okay.
Definitely grant money out there.
I can definitely put something together to give you an idea of what it would cost to bring that back to a nice little
Right.
cool environment.
Right.
I have been there recently. I've been inside it in the last year, so I know exactly what it looks like.
It's a bit
We
rough right now.
we can definitely take a field trip if you want to.
Well, I know I have seen it or whatever, but we need to probably take another look at it.
Mhm.
And while we're on that subject, Cavalry have approached me and asked for it, because they're getting their pool online. That there's no conflicts of interest that I know of at this time. And so they were asking for 32,000 to try to help get that on. And it's the MOU or the agreement would be that anybody in the city would have free and clear access to it. So we can read that, but
That's what I was about to mention,
Yeah.
that we have to look at the various other pools that we have around and how we can guarantee access for all of the community
Right.
members versus the option of rehabbing that facility, existing facility, and
Right.
running that as a recreational pool.
Counting or calculating in the maintenance costs, lifeguard costs, pools are expensive to
They're
operate,
not cheap,
frankly.
that's correct.
They're not cheap, but
I'm just
But
saying,
it's-
because I have
if Palatka
responsibility
is
for it.
growing,
I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, I'm just saying we need to have all the facts first,
Right.
because I've operated them before, but had supervisory operations.
But we just when you got people's life, you can't put a number on.
That's
If
true.
somebody happened to fall, a lot of people, we got a lot of recreational activity, water recreation, whether they own a boat, whether they own a ski-doo, all of these different things, water sports, and swimming. We're a state that's surrounded by water. I can see if we was in South Dakota or somewhere like that, but we should really, embrace swimming, learning how to swim at an early age. Under 4, that's what the program is about, under 4
Right.
years old.
And
Can-
it's a priority, like you said, it
Yeah,
needs to
it
be a
really
priority.
is.
And we
have
need,
to look at what we have in the community now and see how viable this is and the cost.
correct.
And also the tourism is pretty aggressive there. It never stops. I live
Right.
virtually next door and people come from all over the world to the Ravine Gardens. Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And that building right there, yeah. It would be a great investment.
And while we're still on that, there was a pool over right there on the north side where they closed that pool back years ago. And they never, because of some of the maintenance and they didn't want to keep it up, but previous leadership closed that pool off. And I see a value in that because not only that, but it gives kids an activity to kids can learn how to even swim and then go even further and get a scholarship, maybe even make the Olympics. So we want to make sure that we can help touch the lives of those kids that could potentially be in the Olympics and say, where did you learn how to do that from? Well, I got my first swimming lessons in the city of Palatka. We want to be able to have that opportunity.
We are a county seat, are we not?
We are.
Oh, okay.
Next slide.
I
Sam.
think everybody's in favor of researching it. I don't think anybody has any issue with that. Go on, Mr.
And that continuation is just adding more things that we're doing in the culture arts in the River Center and also just in the community itself. Research fairs for citizens and community and veterans for food distribution and education opportunities. Work with the Magic Legion, Health Department, Visit Palatka, and other organizations to build a better relationship. Apply for ecotourist friendly grants and host interactive social events for kids. So we're just trying to bring more foot traffic to the St. John's River Center, but also in the culture arts realm itself, just to make sure we bring as many different opportunities to the community of City of Palatka as possible. Next slide. You have some, Commissioner? No, okay. Breakdown of the org chart again. Courtney James, myself and Jessica were on all of them, but Courtney James is the main foot traffic body work here. You'll see in the decision unit that we applied for a part-timer, and that went in line with site and rental, helping out with the rentals, but also cleaning the facility. As you know, Price Martin Center, St. John's River Center, Booker Park, and now that we have Jenkins multipurpose room, we can rent them out on a regular basis. We're trying to keep them really clean. It's hard. So I need somebody that can come in and clean as quick as possible. So sometimes we have a run on Friday, another run on Saturday, and possibly one on Sunday.
And then discussing this with Mr. Cutright, we talked about reducing the weight of overtime on the weekends by having staff that would be available, and also having somebody that would be a focal point for coordinating volunteerism. So I think that position would be valuable in that regard.
Yeah, he or she would be primary duties, would do rentals and volunteer stuff and cleaning. So they would have up to 25 hours of work every week.
The school district also have this rental. They got a program, I think it's called Facilitron, something like that. But you can pull that up and you can schedule your own it's go based off availability. So it's web application driven. You can see the location that you're gonna rent, the space, the layout and all that stuff. And so I think if we can kind of partner with them and look at them and see, check in with the operations group over there with the that program, Facilitron. That's an awesome program.
And what we were looking at, I definitely would check into that, but we actually got league apps that we utilize in the recreation department. We're trying to get engaged to see if they can do that, because that's online, that's a web-based program, the way you can just go online and we can plug pictures and stuff and rentals of that nature. That's one of the things, trying to do a way to be more computer interactive instead of Courtney got to be there, or I got to meet you and get a
Right.
handwritten application. But I definitely look into that piece with that too. One of the other things that we wanted to add there was landscaping at the St. John's River Center, kind of keep it maintained. And then we have no reliable internet at St. John's River Center.
What?
We do not.
Then we spend about 300,000 for fiber going over there?
On my watch, I haven't seen it that we utilize. Miss Carter's them winter outside there. They put a box there to get a feed to the river center.
Okay, so when they ran, there was like a couple years ago, I know they were saying that they need to connect over to the river center.
Mhm.
And I think it was around $300,000. We need to talk, and I didn't never get that report from
IT?
the IT Inspired Technology. I asked them for the report the last time they were here, and they said they were gonna produce that report as to the projects, what they've done, and it still hadn't come forth yet, and they promised that they would get it. So looking forward to that, but I need to know about the connectivity, because I think they spent about 200 to 300,000 for fiber optic to go
Yeah.
across the street.
Well, please, I will do my part to make sure we look into it.
Okay.
Because every time I reach out to Inspire, i.e. Mark, is always that it costs so much money to get internet over there, and we don't have internet, and we utilizing a booster from the outside window of the finance. I got email documentation to say, put a box outside the window of your office to kind of get a feed from
Are
there.
you talking about for cell phone or
Wi-Fi, and all that stuff, yes.
Hold up, no. So, like you say, it doesn't make sense, because if you got fiber coming from here to over there, all you need is another end device over there to support for your wireless.
I agree with you, Commissioner.
And
We
I've
need to
already,
talk about the details.
Okay.
I've already had a conversation with Inspired to make sure that we have reliable Wi-Fi there. And so they should be making sure that that happens. If it hasn't happened yet, then we need to
Okay.
address that.
But also check into the report that was supposed to have been provided from him,
I
from
got
the
that.
project, the technical project, as well as look and see on the information as related to the fiber optic run that's supposed to be ran from here to there.
Right.
Also,
From what I understand.
for the record, AT&T is finally installing fiber optic
Yeah, I
wire
seen it
downtown.
Mhm.
No.
I'm just saying, just for
This
the
is supposed to be
I
in a
know-
project.
I know that, but I'm just saying, just so people know, it is finally
It's
happening
coming, yeah.
downtown. It's been a long.
Follow up on the airport as well,
Yeah, because we've been
Or-
calling them, I'm just
Okay.
saying.
because they're still using.
Dial-up.
What?
But we'll get to that on the airport,
That's-
right?
The services are
So
out,
there's no runs out that way?
apparently.
Because
not.
you got people who have internet service. You got Comcast. So it is not far to run it from, okay.
Mhm.
Downtown already
Right.
has Comcast, yeah, and AT&T.
That's all right. Next slide.
All right, our current budget right now is $122,892. And most of that was some of the money we inputted for the renovations and the fixing of the St. John's River Center. With the new proposals of the staff person and some baseline fixing improvements of some of these buildings that we need to work on for the Willa Cooper Building, Larimer Arts Center, our proposed budget to be $130,955.
Any questions?
And well,
Yeah.
that's because of the repairs to some of the buildings that we are trying. Okay, next slide. And the only thing that we need to look at, we have the train station is having some termite issues, so we need to tenant.
Mr. Cartwright, you go back to one, you had on that ski club, what are our relationship with the ski club?
Well, the Ski Club is still a dollar a year lease agency, the organization that we have right now. Their contract is due, I think, 2026, so don't quote me, and I can get you the exact dates. For as relationships,
They're at the airport. And
as
we've
Say it
already,
again?
they are at the airport, and we've already begun conversations with them about amending that lease going forward, that it would no longer be a dollar lease. They are proposing to make some modifications on the services that they offer out there. We've asked them to produce an engineering design of the layout of the service area and how they would modify their services. We've also engaged with Mr. McNair, the airport director, to make sure that it is in alignment with their proposed changes are in alignment with his operations there, but also looking at a reasonable lease rate based on the value of the property in terms of non-aeronautical use for that property.
When will we
Yeah.
know something about that? I mean, I didn't know we owned it.
I didn't even, I'm just now learning about it.
I
Right.
saw it up there. I didn't know.
And there were some original discrepancies over the number of acres that they're utilizing with, is it 60 or is it 20? So we have a study that's already engaged in order to identify all the parcels there. And Mr. McNair can probably talk more about that. But the assessment of the lease is probably going to happen within the next 60 days.
Wow, I've been on the commission for 10 years and I just not learning this.
I just happen to know.
I can speak to
The
this.
ski club once and I saw it and I knew that, yeah.
I can speak to this history of the ski club if needed.
Go ahead.
The ski club was originally leased by, in 1969. The present lease, which was executed in 2009, is a 20-year lease that'll expire in 2029.
2029.
It was.
However, we are going to study. Right, but the study that's being done because of FAA.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Well,
Can we
kind
get
of,
the full deal? I mean, why the bits and pieces here?
I don't know, I mean, we're all learning.
Something else right now, we do need that
No,
information, I'm not saying we don't need
No,
information.
that's all,
Finish.
that's something to talk about. This is something, shit. You got a ski club that's out here at the airport.
Yes.
On this
Yes.
vehicle, yeah.
Is it permissible use? You know, is that for the
That's,
area?
that's what we're
That's
doing.
part of
with
what
now.
we're assessing.
Okay.
And there is some uncertainty as to whether or not that lease agreement has been maintained. Can we find the dollar that's been paid? No. So they've been asked to provide documentation of providing that payment for that lease. And so there's a lot of issues that we are ferreting out about that.
Those are the kind of things that is super important as we are here, elected officials and people
Sure.
who are in administrative capacities, that you don't continue to turn your blind eye and deaf ear to something that then it's not trivial.
Right. And quite frankly, I assumed, and you should never make assumptions, that the commission was fully aware of the relationships out there. But I'm learning that even the airport director was not aware of the arrangement. So part of coming on board and ferreting out these issues, we're trying to get to the bottom of it.
Certainly
Right.
appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
So do we pay the utilities and everything, the city?
I don't know
I
that
don't
there's
believe we
utilities.
do, but I'm not
No.
sure of that, but I don't believe so.
We,
See who signed the lease.
When you look at a lease that started in 1969, when the airport was a whole different animal. I mean, I'm not excusing this. We need to have current information. The study needs to be done. But it was a different era and a lot of things were done with a handshake and a smile. I'm not, again, we need to update that and
Yeah.
have it currently in place
So-
and do the correct thing. But we need all that information gathered first.
A question, here's what I got. So what is the city's liability for that ski club thing out there? What is our liability?
Well, they have insurance,
Okay.
so that insurance should cover them. And beyond that, I know that there was an incident a while back where Shell showed up on a water tower that should not have been there, and that happened to be, from what I'm told, because somebody was using the wrong type of ammo, and that has been corrected. So that's not a current issue, but I mean, the question about liability goes back to, here's a piece of land that has been used for non-aeronautical use. Is that the highest and best usage of that land in that facility? So if it's determined that we move forward, there has to be an equitable lease amount for that.
Yep.
based on the market.
Makes
Right.
sense.
Anything else? I mean, I was just gonna add that we were trying to bring the dollar a year contracts leases up to current ink. As we was me, Ms. Val, and Mr. Holmes at the time, city manager. But once he decided that he was moving on, we decided to stop until we get Mr. Bell in house and seat and get kind of comfortable before we brought it back up. Because that was one of the questions that I asked. What is the purpose? What is the use? Why is these contracts so many years? As you'll see, half of those contracts are 20-year contracts, and I want to get it to where we're doing commissioners or merit terms 3 to 4 years at best. So you won't be handicapped or held hostage for any kind of lease going forward.
Absolutely. No more than three to four.
That's,
Mhm.
yeah, that's exactly. And we met last week, Ms. Carty and myself, Mr. Cutright, to discuss the dollar a year leases and how we can standardize it. The approach that we want to bring back to the commission is, and our recommendation is that we have a standardized contract that it be 3 to 5 years, no more than 5 years, leaning towards 3 years as a standard. Establishing what the market rate is for the property. And if the commission desires at that point to discount it based on the services that are provided, then that would be a prerogative of the commission. But at least you would have all the data and information in front of you to make that decision.
Makes sense.
Any other questions of Mr. Cartwright?
Well, I would hope I see everybody at the Family Fun Fitness Day with the backpack giveaway tomorrow, and we have a science experiment.
I'll be out of town tomorrow.
Okay, well, I'll grab your backpack.
Thanks. Hey, I'm working on it. Hey, I'm working on it.
So now we have, because Mr. Joe is not here, so our city manager is gonna, go over
Better place.
public works and sanitation. Yes, sir. Start with Better Place.
So like I said, I'm intentioning for.
Your mic, sir.
Is it on now? Okay,
Yes.
all right. Thank you. So pitching
Starting up again, thank you.
the peanut gallery back there. So yes, I'm pinch hitting for Mr. Recchio on this presentation. So hopefully I'll be able to cover the issues and the matters on par with what Mr. Recchio would have done if he could have been here before you today. So if we go to the next slide for Better Place. So where are we now? We have completed the St. John's Avenue from 18th Street to Palm. We have the 18th Street to the railroad, which is currently under construction. Public Works new facility design build has been awarded, and we have completed the St. John's Avenue lighting. We have identified 4 priority areas for resurfacing. Go ahead, please. I do want to mention that the Hank Bryan restroom plans have been finalized, and that bid, which was considered by the commission yesterday and were directed to come back on, was for $73,000. And just a little bit of background on that bathroom bid. When it originally went out for an RFP, we got one response that was approximately $140,000 for the design and construction. That was well over what we expected. We were fortunate to be able to work in collaboration with engineers from the county in order to get a design done for that at no cost to us. And so we're at the stage now that we just need to do the construction. And so that's what the RFP went out for. And the price that we received back was for $73,000 for just the construction. If you look at the budgeted cost for design and construction, the $73,000 is less than that.
And also, how many respondents do we have out of curiosity? Was
Uh,
that again, or was
I
that-
believe it was just one, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd have to verify that.
Question on, when you first started out with the Better Place,
Yes, sir.
you got all of your bullet points, your 5 bullet points,
Mm-hmm.
but, I don't see no dollar amounts on these in terms of, what, what these projects costed, so that we can kind of better understand what we're looking at. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. So I can,
How much was awarded, we just kind of need to kind of know and be to follow that through the.
is
sure.
that further in the packet or?
There is some detail further in the packet, but to be able to give you the detail for those specific items, I'd have to come back to you on that, but. Going to the back one slide, please. So under Better Place, our goal is number one goal is road resurfacing. We're currently in the design phase for Oak Street, which was approved by the commission. Based on those 4 zones that were provided, commission selected the 3rd zone in order to do a road resurfacing project out of the Better Place Fund. And that design, we're in the design phase for that. It's approximately 500,000 total for that. No, yes, 500,000. And we're about 30% done in terms of the plan submittal. It's expected next week for the plan submittal. And we're looking to have the bid advertised in December for that. The second goal is for sidewalks and storm water repairs. The cost estimate for sidewalks near Washington Street and Booker Park is estimated at 900,000. That is not included in our budget, but we wanted to tell you what the estimated cost was in case through the budgetary process there was a desire to include that. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So this gives you an idea of our 2023-24 totals versus what we're proposing for the 24-25. So some of the answers that you were looking for in terms of what was done previously with the completed projects are there, but I can give you the specifics when you come back. Some notable changes for the increases. The sidewalk repairs. Right now, the amount that was budgeted for sidewalk repairs is set at $100,000 for the 24-25 totals. We have a fairly low utilization of the funds that were allocated or identified in the previous fiscal year. And so we're hoping to amp up in our actual utilization of the line items that were set. Let's see, Key Larkin grant match. We have for the Key Larkin grant, $287,655. The actual match for us ends up being about $31,900, which is about a 10% match. For the Brunson House grant, it's 367,900, and of that, our match is 122,634, which is about a 25% match for that grant. Let's see, Safe Streets for All grant match, 960,000 for that. The federal grant and our match for that is 241,377, which works out to be about a 20% match. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of those totals, it shows the city match at 120,489, and then the city match for 137,634.
So all of these are just matches.
Yes, for a larger grant amount. Okay, next slide, please. So you can move to.
Can we understand and know what that match is though? The amount from a dollar standpoint, is it 20%, 30%, 60%, 70%? Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Right.
I like to
Yeah.
kind of see that kind of,
the HMGP Key Larkin grant match.
no, you don't have to give me the details right
Okay,
now, but
okay.
But they
just
do
kinda-
vary.
it's kind of like to
It
see
does vary.
what that, the proportion is.
Yeah, I spoke to it, but it's not included in writing, so I can give that to you.
Any
Okay.
further questions in regards to the better place fund?
Mm,
Okay.
Okay. What do we have next on the agenda?
Public Works is next on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah, streets and stormwater first.
okay. Streets and stormwater. All right. So the next slide. So our 2023-24 achievements, coordinated the repair of large wash of the golf course. We purchased 90% arbor, a pro lift, TIF fund sidewalk repairs were completed. And we had dozens of tree removal projects through multiple areas throughout the city, including a significant number in the golf course and the cemetery areas. I'm not going to bore you with going through each of those individually, but you can see those items as identified in your package. Go on to the next slide, please. So operational changes in the upcoming year. So our operational changes create specialization of roles within the department between stormwater maintenance and street maintenance. Record frequency and quality key performance indicators to assess department effectiveness. Integrate financial report records and employee time worked into work orders to more effectively budget time and resources. And that's part of the desire to become more effective and more efficient in the work that we do with Public Works. And it's also tied to our desire to be able to publish our work orders to the internet for transparency and objectivity, so that there's also accountability in making sure that the items that are identified are actually completed in a timely fashion and communicated to the originator of those requests. Become less dependent on the inmate program for contractual obligations with FDOT and right-of-way maintenance. And the problem that we're running into there is that you have to have a supervisor to supervise the inmate crew. And if that supervisor is not in that day, then we effectively lose 4.5 FTEs because the supervisor is not available to supervise them. So we need to more effectively and efficiently figure out how to manage that additional workforce. The other obstacle that we run into is that Public Works has identified zones throughout the city, and there are various activities that have to occur within those zones. And they're all interdependent. If a supervisor is not available that day and the inmate crew is not available to do the work, communicating that to the rest of the departments that do work in that zone becomes an obstacle because they're not aware that that work didn't happen, and therefore things have an opportunity to fall through the cracks. So we want to figure out ways that we can be less dependent on the inmate crew. So our goals are to survey and assess stormwater systems for continuous improvement, program considerations, survey and update treatment plan for all assets for the CIP, and maintenance considerations. Skipping down to the last item, produce a deliverable of activities map on the city website to be published on a regular basis that I spoke about earlier. Sure. Mhm.
So let's go to the, kind of less dependent on inmate
Yes, sir.
program. So
Mhm.
what's your alternative? Hire more people? Because that's what it takes.
No, it is making sure that, that we have better communications when the inmate crew is not available. Making sure that, when a supervisor is not available, that we have somebody that's cross-trained and capable of, fulfilling that responsibility. That would, prevent us from having to hire additional people, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I hate to not make usage of that additional resource.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
I
It wasn't
hesitate.
clear to what you're saying because of like.
Yes.
A change, so what we gonna change, that's why I said.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Good question. Okay. So our current budget, for streets is 828,250. You're looking at about a $40,000 increase, across professional services, maintenance, and capital overlay and tree removal. Obviously, because the cost of, materials has gone up, there's going to be an increase. But if you look at the next slide, we should be able to show, what we are proposing is, an increase in, 2 laborers for this. And that is not, it shows there an increase of 2 operators. That's not correct. It should be 2 laborers, in addition to the existing labor. And so, right, just the laborers.
So there's still one though, operating.
Yes. Hmm.
On these slides,
Yes, sir.
I see where, I don't know, I guess I don't see that for every department, the personnel for every department.
Mhm.
As we go through, I think that's helpful to kind
Okay.
of know and understand. I seen it on a couple slides,
Couple,
but not
but
all, not all the departments.
Okay. We'll make sure we correct that then, show it's consistent.
Not the chart. Talking about the
The
department
current
itself.
staffing and propose.
How many people in that department
Okay.
as they go along. They have the organizational.
Yeah, the
chart, but as-
table, but the table, that helps to see.
Mhm.
Okay. Got you. You're talking about the org chart table?
Well,
or-
that helps, and then you can compare
Okay.
that to what's being proposed. For me, the
Gotcha.
visuals are helpful.
Okay. We can, it wasn't something that was originally in the template, but we can add that in the template. So,
It's just helpful
Right.
in order to.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I think that's a good thing to be able to add. So it's, what we're talking about is an additional 2 an additional 2 FTs. Why is it hard to say?
Yeah, that was correct.
10 times fast, right?
FTE.
Right. Okay, I think that concludes, I'm sorry, the capital budget, 42,000 to 53,000. And that is, using those additional funds to purchase a side-by-side, gas operated side-by-side, cart, new mower, trimmers, chainsaws, hedgers, and 12-foot flat trailers pull behind for 10,000. And the value of that, trailers, it allows us to be able to service not only Public Works, but also to utilize the equipment in Public Works for the water facility. We eliminated an item from their budget, which was a skid steer, because we could use the skid steer, which is not in high demand in the streets department, and be able to move that piece of equipment back and forth with the use of a trailer.
City manager.
Yes.
May I interject?
Absolutely.
This is also the area, this capital budget where we placed the paving road renovations of $1 million. You know, he would not have known that, but I
Okay.
just wanted to bring that to you.
Thank you. And so, the objective of allocating funds for paving roads is split between two places in our budget. One of the places is in the streets, which we capital expenditure. It's $1 million.
It's $1 million
Right. And then we have $1.4 million allocated in
in the Better Place.
Better Place.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Together, that's
that's the
2.4
breakout
million.
for-
Yes.
Resurfacing
Yes.
project.
Yes. And that could be milling and paving, or it could be a full reconstruction, depending on the locations that are identified by the commission and the needs of those locations. So it's my objective to look at opportunities to combine infrastructure work with road work at the same time. So that concept of one cuts, you cut the road one time, you take care of everything, and then you pave it so you don't have to come back and cut it again.
So we have some places that have already had the infrastructure done.
That's
and
correct.
Waiting to be resurfaced.
Yes.
Want to at least get those first.
Mhm.
They've
Right.
been waiting long enough.
Mhm.
Now, all right, 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
The gas side by side,
Mm-hmm.
do they currently have one?
I don't believe they have a side by side.
And what are the uses for them? Just out of curiosity.
And Mr. Vecchio went over that with me, but in all honesty, I don't recall the exact usage that he had identified. And so I'd have to get back to you on that.
It must have air conditioning because in here, there was another one asked for, that was 15,000. So are they getting it from the same vendor at least? With the facilities, said that they asked for a side by side,
Mhm.
and it was 15,000. The more was the same.
Mhm.
I just out of curiosity.
Sure. So
Look that close, or that's not a biggie.
no, it's a big deal to me. So making making sure that we leverage our purchasing power to get the best pricing. If we're going to do two, we need to get the best pricing for both of them.
Did they do a justification for it or did they just request for it?
Yes, we have a decision unit for each of those items.
The decision, I understand, but if the decision unit can just say, was it justified?
I do believe there is a justification.
There's a difference between a decision unit and then justification. So I just want to understand and know if
Mhm.
what's the justification for?
Okay. I can get back to you with that.
That would be in that detail that Mr. Joe would have
Right.
provided.
Right.
And my thing is, when we start talking about, wants versus needs, and
Mhm. Right.
those are some important things to ask at least.
Absolutely.
Talk about, more personnel, which is a need. These side by side,
Okay.
maybe just a want. And we don't need them just for the blue crab and
Okay.
festivals,
Okay.
once a year type stuff.
Sure. Chief just shared with me that the typical difference between the two side by sides, between the 20,000 and the 15,000, is 2-seater versus 4-seater. So in either case, the justification needs to be there. Why do you need the equipment, first of all? And then second of all, why 4-seaters versus 2 seats?
You could have bought a Ranger truck, pickup truck,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
new one for $20,000.
Where?
Government rate. I said a Ranger pickup truck. I guarantee you. Shoot, $20,000 guarantee.
you can add another 5,000-10,000 to it, you get a range.
For 20,000, that runs anyway.
What's our next
That's
item?
my pre-owned.
Guarantee you. I don't know what y'all do.
Uh,
Y'all got weak negotiations.
I
skills.
thought it
You can do it with the government.
You're talking about 7 days a week, right?
Can you give us that additional information? That would be
All right.
great.
Yes.
$15,000.
Thank you.
Where
So-
where are we going next?
Cemetery.
Oh, no, that's.
Yeah, we're not going there, hopefully.
Oh, I hear people are dying to get in. I used to have a cemetery operator, and that was always his joke. People are dying to get in.
Pretty standard old one.
Yes. Oh. All right. So, our achievements. We go to the next slide, please. All right. So, in a cemetery, we were successful in transition. Thank you. You knew my eyes were struggling. They're transitioned their cemetery records to iWork for better records management. There were 64 lots that were sold, 53, almost 54,000 in revenue, 57 burial permits that were issued, an additional $8,500 in revenue. We drafted updated rights of internment documents to reduce administrative workload. And that's all part of modernizing the approach to it. Updated ordinances to more clearly communicate our policies for the cemetery. If I can move to the next slide then. Thank you. Our operational notes and goals for 2024-25. Increase the level of service for landscaping, being responsive to some of the concerns about people who have visited their loved ones, and they want a higher level of landscaping so that they can feel that their loved ones are in beautiful places. So record frequency and quality key performance indicators to assess departments' effectiveness. Are we being effective in the way that we provide those services out there? Return lots on hold over 60 days to inventory. From what I learned, we previously, many years ago, had a practice of putting lots on hold. That practice was stopped at some point in time, but somehow or another, it was started again. And the idea of putting lots on hold, which I had to learn when I asked the question, was somebody can come in and say, I'd like to get 10 lots. Can you hold those particular 10 lots? Without putting down the
What a real estate.
well, all depends on how big your loved one is, I guess.
It's quite a deal.
Right. No deposit, anything, and so those lots are held indefinitely until, so, and the individuals holding them might have had all good intentions, but never came back and fulfilled them for whatever reason. So our practice going forward is that we're no longer going to put lots on hold. So our goals are to install corner posts at sections of burial plots to stop vehicle traffic from crossing burial plots. That's a challenge that almost every cemetery deals with. How do you keep people who are trying to get to a certain place from driving over other places? So continue to remove trees that are encroaching on burial sites, and increase total transactions per fiscal year. And so there are a number of things that we can do to make our cemeteries more attractive. And so looking at ways that we can do that to increase the usage and to beautify it at the same time. All right. Okay. Mhm.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Professional services,
Mm-hmm.
is that for park staff or cemetery staff or something that we have to pay? What?
Professional services would be something that we outsource a cost that we pay to a third party. So that would be either lawn maintenance, or that would be
It says ground maintenance up here.
Right.
First.
Mhm.
So,
ground maintenance.
yeah, but it's two different
Terminology.
Go back.
Mhm.
Go ahead, I guess. Where it says from 84, yeah, right there.
Okay.
So ground maintenance is included in the first line.
Yeah.
So I want to know you get what I'm saying?
What is the distinction between the two?
$15,000.
Right. So
What-
all of that would be either professional services, or you could potentially put ground maintenance into contractual services. So however it's coded within the finance software, it would be based on the prerogative of the finance director. But for that particular professional services, do you? Okay.
Professional services, I'm sorry. Professional services are distinctly different from the ground maintenance.
Mhm.
And at the moment, I'm just not sure what they're using it for, but I will find out.
Usually it's like legal, those things of that nature.
Over 150.
Well, I think we need to find out exactly. what
Sure.
I will.
Funding.
That's the most important.
And I'm sure Joe would have the answer to that off the top of his head, but yeah. Okay. Thank you for that question. Mhm.
So,
Next.
Hawks.
Okay. All right. Let's look at parks. And thank you for patiently waiting through this. So if you want me to accelerate, let me know. If you want me to slow down, please feel free to stop. Okay.
Accelerate, that's great. If there's questions, we'll stop you.
Okay. Very good. So we're gonna talk about Parks Department now. Parks.
Gonna get pox.
Park the car. All right, our 23-24 achievements, completion of irrigation at the riverfront. If without the irrigation, we don't have grass, and you saw a little bit of that through the wear and tear of the Blue Crab Festival. Clearing out the annex, brush removal and clearing at 11th Street downtown laydown yard. That's the space behind the post office. And that's where we typically direct our contractors now to be able to do their staging and lay down mulching repairs at the riverfront. So you'll see that the river center and the riverfront area looks a lot better based on the new mulching and repairs that were done. The walkway, the two walkways, the benches that were crumbling, removing and replacing those. Landscaping replenishment at the Riverfront Park, St. John's Avenue, Memorial Parkway to 4th Street, around the City Hall area and the Tillman House. Next, please.
Can we do things that have like lower maintenance for
Lower,
maintenance for especially like the river center and those areas that it's high traffic because it's gonna if we can't get around fast enough to get those properties to to be more appealing, they can look bad like the derelict benches and everything else. And you saw how some of the boardwalk, what kind of condition that was in and all. So we just kind of looking at the landscape and all that stuff, what we currently have, if we can replace it with higher or lower maintenance cost things to try to maintain.
with a longer life cycle.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We'll keep that in mind's eye when we address that. Thank you.
Maybe we could ask IFAS to give us some suggestions about Florida-friendly plantings to go throughout whatever facilities, parks we have.
Sure.
They're right down the road.
Okay. Thank you. Operational goal changes and goals for the 24-25 fiscal year. Create specialization of roles within department focusing on landscaping maintenance. That goes back to what you just mentioned. Utilizing and working with IFAS. Integrates financial records and employee time worked into work orders. That's a reoccurring theme that you're going to see across public works divisions. Become less dependent on MA program for detail work in high traffic parks. Obtain irrigation technician training and certifications for our staff. Obtain lawn and ornamental pesticide application training and licensure for our staff. And this is not, I'll stop for briefly and say, this is typically gets overlooked. It is one of the critical aspects of making sure that you beautify the community, but you can't do that without the licensing that goes along with that. You can outsource it, but you pay an arm and a leg. But if you have staff members that are willing and able to go through the licensing process, we have staff members that are capable, but they don't necessarily like to go through the testing that is required to get the licenses. But once you get the licenses, like what Mr. Deputy came in last night and talked about. We were down at St. John's Avenue. We swept St. John's Avenue and we sprayed all the way down to 7th Street and then from Reed to Oak Street on every one of the cross streets so that we could eliminate the vegetation that's growing in the road or into the sidewalks and that kind of thing. And you got to do it with ecologically sound and safe products, and that's part of what the licensing helps us address.
Down the line, because it's also fairly cheap if we can get somebody to go through the Master Gardener program to learn what
Mhm.
plants are appropriate, right plant, right place. I was a Master Gardener for 9 years. So I
Okay.
mean, that, again, that's right over at the Extension Center. It's not far to travel. Maybe that's a future opportunity for someone.
Sure.
Lead that up, Mayor. You a master gardener.
Yeah. Businesses have a lot of free time.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
that's important too, because I remember I had Public Works in my previous job, and I said, go down and pull up all the grass along Main Street. And I came back, everything was gone.
And I watch, I mean, inmate crews are doing good things,
Right.
but I also see them weed whacking like everything.
Just like,
They don't know.
They don't.
right. So, wow. Let's see. Irrigation technician training. and- Yeah, I think I covered all those. So,
Progression plan.
okay. Um, Landscaping maintenance, career progression plan to provide, training, increases staff productivity and skill levels. Okay. We move to the next slide, please. So our current budget is 245,000 and proposed is 307,000. So you're looking at an increase of roughly 55,000. Notable changes are impactful increases to the riverfront maintenance to replace failing play equipment that's out there. Each parks maintenance line has been increased to accommodate the mulching, equipment repairs, lighting repairs, and ADA compliance.
May I insert?
Mhm.
One of the items that were increased radically in this area was the riverfront. Because we went from like, well, we increased it by like 48,000,
Mhm.
from 50,000 to 48 to 98,000.
Are we using general funds for those, for that?
This is general fund.
Mhm.
For landscaping, if we needed another position, because we don't really have a landscape, I know they're pinch hitting of sorts. Can we use the CRA monies, because it's eliminating blight and revitalizing, to have somebody doing some landscaping? Riverfront, Larimer looks like, I'm sorry, doesn't look very well. Tillman House, all of those properties we own, nobody's done the real landscaping and maintenance of it for a long, long time. And it's just something to consider for the future through CRA funding.
I think the people who are utilizing those, like, those facilities, I think we had already made an agreement that they would maintain that the city would have to do those, properties. That's what I thought.
I always say the
And-
landlord, if you raise the rent, which I'm saying we should consider and do,
Yeah.
I always see the landlord's role as responsible for the exterior and the property, and they responsible for the utilities and things inside. That's general thumb. We can obviously do different things, but
No, I mean, well,
it's our city, it's our buildings technically, and the landscape, they look kind of blah. And they're beautiful buildings and they're our architectural assets and treasures, and I think we should treat them as such. That's all.
Okay.
I think we just need to consider that. Yeah, absolutely. We need to ultimately make sure that those things happen, but at the same time, we need to see how we can, if they're getting these facilities for nominal rates and not really paying a whole lot, then those kind of things need to go to those individuals as it relates. Because I know prior to, we had talked about all of our rentals and dollar lease or whatever else it may be. that those individuals was responsible for all the maintenance and upkeep.
Well, what I'm hearing though is the common objective is to beautify the community, and how we get there, we can figure that out. But we want to raise the bar and what our community looks like.
These are nonprofits that don't have a lot of money, let's face it. So you have people from out of town coming to the plays, going to gallery openings at the Larimer, and this is what they see as soon as they enter. I think it behooves us as a city to put our best foot forward.
But an example is that if the Larimar been fairly busy lately. I've been seeing quite a bit of activity over there, but we don't want to get into the weeds.
No, we don't.
I
No
think
pun intended.
here, we don't know what the revenue stream is over there. So again, if the cities have, if the city residents, taxpayers having to fund something that somebody could be potentially making a heck of a lot of revenue, we don't know what is on their books.
Mhm.
And so that's where we had made the agreement as to the people maintaining the facility
Mhm.
as a whole. Again, if the city's got to do that, then we need to probably go back to the table and make some different recommendations as to how much you're gonna pay, market rate, and then the city will take care of it, and it can come out of the central business district funds or whatever else it may be. But we're the ultimate responsible party for that, absolutely, yes.
And one of the benefits and slash flaws of being new to the community is I'm in a position when we start to refresh these agreements to learn and understand what was the prior arrangement, and does it make sense to move forward with that arrangement or not. But one aspect of the concept around CRAs is that the tax, specifically TIF funding, the differential between how much was the baseline taxing and the additional revenue that you receive is supposed to go into addressing some of the blight issues. But if there's a prior arrangement there that says that the agreement is that you come in here for $1, but in exchange for that dollar, you have to provide that, then that's something that we have to
Renegotiate, because again, it's not getting done, so it may need to be renegotiated.
But here, let's get back to the
Let's
blight
get
piece.
back to the
The blight, let's talk about the blight, because we can't just use blight just per se, just to say use blight.
Mhm.
If it's being created and somebody's maintaining that property and you're having functions and events and you're seeing this stuff and you're not paying anything for this facility, why continue to benefit from it, but you're not contributing to it? That's my point.
I mean, that's reasonable logic. And that's why when we revisit these agreements, those are things that we need to specifically address with the direction from the commission on how you would like us to proceed.
And I'm just tired of people continuing to use, taking advantage of the city. We've seen instance after instance after instance, and I'm tired of it. And I'm going, I gotta voice that opinion.
Understood. We'll bring you the information and look for your direction on how to proceed on that.
Yeah.
Now, and on this note, about the parks, I would like to see, because I wanna actually hold myself accountable for when we approve these things. Tell me, what are we gonna do, say equipment repairs? What do they have in plan? What their projections? We're gonna lighting repairs, we're gonna put new lighting, or if it's just repairing, where? Because I mean that if they put it here and they're gonna do it, I wanna make sure it's done. Because there's I'm just picking this out.
Sure.
But I'm saying for every department, they're very vague in what they're gonna do with the funding. And I would like to, for example, the side by side, that's telling me exactly that I should expect a side by side there if we approve this budget. That's what I wanna see. And I don't know if you guys feel the same, but that's the only way we could be held accountable and hold them accountable for the dollars.
I think it's an opportunity. I agree with you, Commissioner Jones. I think there's an opportunity that as we do the budget, and I know that the city manager has implemented bringing forth monthly checkout, but I think it may be an opportunity for us to come back quarterly or at some point to revisit what we have accomplished for that given time frame. And then that way we'll be able to bring back to the table, say, hey, we thought this, that, or the third, or something of that nature, so that we're able to be more in the know and make sure that things that are requested is getting done. So there may be an opportunity for us to build in budget reviews quarterly so that we're able to do so.
Sure. And I think you make a good point. That's one of the tools that that I'm hoping that will be valuable to you is the check register, so you can see each month what funds are actually being spent on and be able to compare that to quarter to quarter previous expenditures.
Additional questions?
Next slide, please. So our current staff listing, 2 laborers, and it's unchanged. You're gonna have 2 laborers, 1 dock crew supervisor, 1 dock crew supervisor. So no changes in personnel. Next slide, please. On our capital budget, we're going from 33,009, roughly 34,000 to 50,000. So a 16,000 increase overall. Some of the capital improvements that we're projecting includes lawnmowers, 12-foot trailer pull behind, which I believe that was already included in one of the other public works department items. The side-by-side was already included. So we have 3 edgers, chainsaws, pole saws, and park equipment.
Is that a duplicate?
Yeah, I believe so.
Can you just confirm that? So.
Yes.
We'll confirm it.
Well, the other was 20 and we're saying a 2-seater.
Right.
versus
This is a
4-seater.
15 one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we need to figure that out.
On this one, this is, what department is it again?
This is the parks.
Right, just want to bring to your attention, city manager, in this area, that, the splash pad
Mm-hmm.
over 400,000 is there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, yeah, that's the main thing.
Right.
Is that in there?
Those are things that the department head really would not be aware of.
Mhm.
So, but I'm also bringing to your attention that in this budget,
Mhm.
for this particular department, there's an additional item there, and that's that splash pad.
Right.
And some of this information comes from the meetings with the commissioners.
Exactly.
So that's why it's in the budget.
Bringing back to the
400,000?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, once he's done, I'm gonna come back through and kind of give a highlight of these capital items.
Is that the splash pad that we talked about like about 5 years ago? That was 80,000?
Yeah.
Right.
They were doing fundraising, but it all fell apart.
No, they had the fund.
It was in the budget.
It was already paid.
We had it in this funding because there were also private citizens.
No, it was,
trying to
yeah,
fund
it was fully funded, 83,000, somewhere like that.
But they've gone up in price.
Okay.
Oh, yes, the range now is
You know.
from 200,000 to 800,000, depending on the size, the number of jets and structures. Mhm.
I'd love to have it, but we just need to. The last I knew was 83,000.
I have seen them be incredibly successful in terms of creating space and creating destinations. My recommendation is going to be that if we go forward, that we do it in phases, so that you don't experience the entire cost up front. So if you want to add structures, that would be something that you do in phase 3s, for instance.
Can we get the one that was original pathway? It was about 3 to 5 years ago. It was a splash pad, 83,000. It should be within our
Okay.
approval things or whatever. So we just look it up and see what that was like, and just to see what your current proposal is.
Sure.
Got it.
Okay.
If it's the same, then my gracious, you know what I mean?
But the
Yeah.
bathroom costs 73,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Subvention.
Thanks.
Anyway.
And One of the things I forgot to mention was, do you use new water or recycle water? Those are options that address.
That's just a personal.
Yeah, you can do recycled water. They have, and, when we went to Orlando, I went into one of the seminars where, the vendor was actually telling us how they do the reclaiming the water.
Right.
And the systems that they have now are just like, I mean, you can almost drink the water. But I think it's worth having a vendor come in and at least talking to us about it, giving us options. I think that is. I know that you guys have reservation about the money, but there have been a private donor that said that they would actually do it for the city. But that public-private partnership, I don't know if that's what we want to get into, but when you have a potential
I think we
private
need to
partnership,
consider that. We need
yeah,
to
and
consider.
they want to do it for us, I think that's something
I
you're
think we'd
right.
be foolish not to consider, frankly.
I mean,
Right.
as a matter of fact, we've seen the rendering that came in to us already, in the past, but.
And
It increases tourism, doesn't it?
It becomes a destination. I had a mayor that was fervently against it until it was actually installed, and it was one of the best things that happened to that
Right.
community. So,
I mean,
And-
I'm open to it. I was waiting
Mhm.
for it the first round, but we never got it.
I'm sorry.
next slide, please.
So prior to like, okay, so if we're given the direction, which it appears as we're all game for this, and I think this may be something that goes back to the follow-ups. Like I know we often, you hear me oftentimes say we talk about things while they're hot, but while they're not, they're kind of swept to the back burner. I would like to see some of like a action plan to address some of this stuff almost immediately after the budget is approved or denied.
Yes, sir.
I've been asking for that type of thing for forever and just making sure that when we do have things that we give direction on some action register and keep that before us until it is worked off and completed. And so how do you want to move forward with that with the request that we make? Because again, a lot of times things fall off the
Mhm.
radar.
Right.
And so we have these meetings recorded and we are also given direction. So when we are given direction, we would like to see those things continue to throughout fruition unless we say we're no longer interested in it.
And I would, along those same lines, what I would like to be able to do once the budget is approved is, if you see value in that, of course, to create a balanced scorecard that identifies the projects and have that be one of the objectives of my office to execute on those items that are in the budget, based on the commitment to get those things done.
We're committed.
All right, beautiful.
Okay. Keep moving.
Okay, our facilities. 23-24 achievements, completion of the City Hall Annex re-roof project. I know everybody was happy to see that done. Completion of the City Dock repairs and mitigation project. Moving forward on getting that fully utilized. St. John's Avenue electrical repairs in support of the Blue Crab Festival. Completion of renovation of the Annex building, which allowed us to move. Bless you.
Bless you.
The planning department over into the annex building as a precursor, hopefully, to building out the rest of the annex building. Preparing the taxi terminal for tenant occupation. Implemented staff training curriculum to increase staff safety, competency, and efficiency. Next.
Mr. Bell, can we
Yes.
get pictures of some of the things like we get from the cut right direct cut right? They do a really good job with before and afters.
Mhm.
So if we have things in the state that they are,
Mhm.
and then those are some telling stories that we can provide and share to the community. They need to know and understand what we're doing.
Sure.
And if they don't, if you say, you never say anything about what you do, they don't understand, they don't know.
Right.
So if we present that to them, they can better understand why they're paying the taxes that they're paying and what the benefit that they're getting out of it.
Yes, pictures can tell an extensive story, right?
Absolutely.
So 23, 24 achievements. I think we finished that. We should be moving to the next slide. Operational notes and goals. Our operational changes are streamlining the response time for online work order requests, record frequency and quality key performance indicators, integrate financial records and employee time worked. Like I said, this is a common thread across the entire organization. Our goals support other departments with planning and executing repair and maintenance plans for the facilities. Address major maintenance and repairs at city facilities such as the Bronson House, Tillman House, the Annex, and the City Hall, which are suffering from long-term deferred maintenance.
Hope
Mhm.
right there. So now streamlining, but what about streamlining with status? Because a lot of times when people or individual put in a work order or what
Mhm.
have you, is somehow now if they put it in through the system, if they register, you get a status. I think.
Mhm.
But if you call in, then sometimes there's just a lull and
Right.
there's no feedback. So how can we improve that? But just think about that. You don't have to answer it now.
Well,
It's just,
I have an answer for
Okay.
you. That's why we're publishing to the website so that you can, if you register, right, you'll get an email
Right.
response letting you know. But if you don't want to register, you want to go just look at the status.
no, just make a phone call. You're making a phone call
Mhm.
for the work order to be put in.
Right.
Okay, now, most of the time, people don't even get a work order number. They
Mhm.
just call in, sometimes don't know who they talk to. And they hang up and say, okay, I need this work done at this particular address, and they talk to the person.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they don't get a request number, a
Mhm.
work order number. So they hang up. And sometimes that can happen several times, and then it frustrates the resident. And so I want to try to put something around that concern to help address end-to-end customer service. Then that's
Okay.
what I sent you something along
Right.
that line.
And what does the website publication address that concern, or are you thinking
I would have to actually see it, but
Okay.
not everybody have,
that's right?
right,
Mhm.
so.
Service perspective, what it is a phone identifies who they are,
Mhm.
and gives that work order number.
Right.
Just for your records,
Right.
sir, this is, I am so-and-so, and this is your work order number.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
That's it, yeah.
we're even looking at texting it back to them.
Mhm.
That too, and some people don't text.
Well, you can ask for their preference, they
But
can,
you get it off everything.
Right.
Right.
just ask for that, whatever their preference is, and then you can kind of gather, but offer a battery, make 2 or 3 things that they could use, okay? And try to work within that parameter.
Okay. And I think this whole accountability effort puts accountability on the forefront of our staff, that when something comes in like that, they may need to make sure it goes into the system. And like you said, give that reference point back to the
Next
customer.
steps. What are the next steps?
Mhm. Okay. Very well. Let's see. So we're going on to the next.
Which is
I think there we go.
operating budget.
Operating budget. Only a $2,000, $2,500 increase here. That's primarily materials, and maintenance. So next slide, please. Personnel, you're looking at, the same personnel. So no changes there, no decision units around personnel. So let's go to the next. Our capital budget does have a significant increase. That number should not be 95,000. It should be 45,000. All right. So the increase is about 28,000. And that is for one truck to be replaced, not 2, 1.
See that? Yeah, you can't, he can get one for 17. So you're right.
Mhm. Right.
You're paying higher, Commissioner, you be paying a little higher.
Mhm. So, it is, I believe it is, the, unit number 18. Okay. I think it's the older one that's being replaced, 2004.
So
Yeah.
you're getting rid of these,
Mhm.
right? And that's the value, is that the value on it or? no?
No, 45,000 is, it's not a $28,000 truck. 45,000 is for the replacement of a truck.
Okay,
Right. Mhm.
replacing the 2 trucks, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So next, I think that's the end of this one.
What's,
Next slide. Oh, she's
what's
working on it.
next?
Okay.
Sanitation.
Sanitation. You know what the motto is for sanitation, just like the cemeteries, right? Everything rolls downhill.
Sanitation is one of your most important departments. Without that, it's
Right.
an environmental problem.
There you go. 23, 24 achievements on the next slide, please. Okay. So sanitation department has carried multiple vacancies and experienced a high turnover rate for the majority of fiscal year 24. So that has been a significant achievement, being able to maintain the quality of service with limited staffing. Purchase new commercial front loader, revised commercial and residential routes for more efficiency, implementation of weekly safety programs for all staff, improved our response time and billing process for the clamshell routes for better productivity and profitability. Next slide, please. Operational notes and goals. Record frequency and quality key performance indicators. Integrate financial records and employee time worked. Provide training for drivers to better know their trucks mechanically. Our goals are to further refine the routes and ensure maximum efficiency, fully staff the department, which has been challenging, to enact career progression plan to provide training for staff and increase staff productivity, remove Unit 30 as an active backup vehicle and cycle in a new residential truck. So the purchase of a new truck will allow us to segue out of the use of Unit 30 as a backup truck. All right, next, please. So our operating budget is 854,000, and you see an increase there to 1.024 million. And that is looking at regular salaries going from 613 to 645, small tools from 5,000 to 15,000, and building maintenance from 1,000 to 15,000. Why? For building maintenance, because there has not been, from what I understand, money put into, you're talking about years and years of deferred maintenance, to be put into the proper maintenance of the facility. That's correct. Hmm? Right. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Right. Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure who's talking. I'm just hearing Mr. Bell respond. So
Oh,
could
your
someone please make
microphone.
sure that the mic?
That was Commissioner Jones.
my question was, Commissioner, is, the big increase in building maintenance for, public works building. And if we're gonna be putting money in chunks like that for, maintenance to that building, and we're about to move out of that building, and I want to know the timeline for us to be moving from that facility to the airport facility. And if it's gonna be soon, I don't agree with putting chunks of money like that out there. But if it's not, I would like to know what type of building maintenance they're gonna be doing out there. If it's needed, urgent, or is it a wish list type deal again?
So it's my understanding that the timeline for the build out and the move from the existing facility to the new facility will take us well into the end of the next fiscal year. And so the need for maintenance in the current location, given that that change will not happen for close to a year, if not more, is urgent and significant. So I don't know the details of the specifics, but having taken a tour of the facility, I can see that the conditions that they're dealing with there in the sanitation department limit their ability to be effective and efficient in picking up um, curbside service.
The building
Yes.
prevents that?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I just want to know what we're doing with it. I mean,
Sure.
what's the plan? Just like I said
Mhm.
earlier, just in
More
stuff.
specifics.
Yeah,
Okay.
specific. You know, you don't say you're gonna do building
I mean,
maintenance.
I'm not opposed to it either if it's a real need, but
Right.
if we know what we need, it
Right.
would be helpful. Because
don't-
it is pretty subpar conditions there, I agree, but again, is it urgent, is it not,
Right.
just.
Can we survive or not? Okay.
I just don't see the correlation of the correlation as it relates to the building as opposed to picking up.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to connect.
And
Okay.
why
I
talk
can
about
get you.
sanitation when sanitation as well as the street department is the same building?
There's been well, two different things, obviously, but from what I understand, sanitation has been ignored for a long time because of the feeling that they could survive on drugs without having to deal with it. Whereas it's more of an issue now than it has been in the past. But I can get back to you with more details on that. I'm just speaking extemporaneously based on having taken a quick tour of the area, but Mr. Recchio would have more of the details of exactly what that is. So I apologize that I can't speak to that directly.
Keep going.
Mhm. Okay. Next. So we're talking about additional staff of CSR, customer service rep, which is one full-time position that they're asking for in the sanitation department. Next, please.
Okay, is that gonna be only for sanitation? It's not for the public works.
It is primarily for sanitation. Now, I believe that everybody should be cross-trained and be able to shift in as needed. But the primary focus is to be able to support sanitation. Right now, we have folks that are taking and dealing with sanitation issues now, which is taking them away from their ability to be effective and efficient in other areas. So this would be primarily focused based on the request of the sanitation department on making sure that they support the sanitation department.
Right, but sanitation and the other, all of that's public works, isn't it? The
It is.
sanitation
It
and,
is.
Mhm.
okay, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Some of it.
So
It's the same department.
it is, but right now,
Yeah, we need more
Job
clarification.
description of
Okay.
what this position is going to do or involve.
They're in different buildings. That's
Are-
all.
well, it's all one complex,
One complex.
right?
It's all one hot mess.
I remember it used to be only one CSR that handled all of the requests. And that hadn't been long ago, but they have a lot of well,
let's just get more information.
Okay.
Compare it to the city, the growth of the city haven't grown.
Yeah, we know.
You know, that department has grown a lot.
Mhm.
Where they're outgrowing the building. But I don't see.
Well,
Just
we're-
thinking out loud, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay, we're open-minded, we just need more information.
Okay.
Yep.
You want to
Yeah.
go next, please?
More information.
So,
Capital budget, there are blanks.
right,
Well, it's
Why- why you put
85,000.
$85,000 for a truck.
yeah, at the bottom left-hand corner,
Right, it's 85,000.
unit 30,
85,000 Proposed or total current?
proposed.
So you go from zero down to 85,000. That's a lot of increase.
From 0
Right.
to 85,000, and that,
So I'm looking at current and proposed total is
Exactly.
zero.
It's a
and
new
then we
truck.
come down here. Now,
So they should have put the 0 up there and the 85,000 up there.
So can you kind of like, I'm ready to go. but,
Mhm.
$85,000 truck
Mm-hmm.
to go out and service trucks that break down? Is that what that's for?
No, that's.
Read what it says.
It says we'd like to order a replacement vehicle for unit 30. But right now when trucks have issues out in the field, they need to send a truck out there as opposed to towing it, which is very expensive, right? Very costly. This truck allows them to be able to maintain service out on the road. So right now, the unit that's doing that, unit 30, is 17 years old, and it's hobbling along. So we would like to replace that to keep our trucks active on the road.
Jones, we know you like to pinch pennies, but sometimes it's necessary for us to spend the money.
Mhm.
we need to see what the overall cost is as it relates to, just see what we're getting for the 85,000, and
You wanna break
so we're
down that
not
truck.
questioning
Mhm.
whether there's a need, but I think it is also good to just do an inquiry just to see what does that 85,000 get and what do they
Mhm.
normally cost. And just I think that's good measures on our part, good stewards.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
and as we, I guess, again, all time back to follow up. When we get these requests, can we go ahead and even when we're going through the budget cycle, and I know that homework is done prior to, but the more information we have as far as pictures or something like that, may we make that a practice to go ahead and start including that kind of stuff in the budget presentation to give us an idea? I think sometimes it will eliminate a few of the questions or concerns that may come from the commissioners, or the mayor.
Understood. Okay. All right. Next,
Fleet maintenance.
fleet maintenance department.
Excuse me, I gotta pick up some.
So, yeah, fleet maintenance is usually included under the sanitation budget, but we wanted to pull it out so that you could look specifically at fleet numbers. And there's some minor modifications then in here that we identified when we went through this, and I will try to cover that as we go through it. 23-24 achievements, just skipping through, replace engine unit number 28 clamshell, and we know that's critical in keeping the debris off of our right of ways and our streets. We created an inventory area to begin warehousing common replacement parts for our vehicles. That allows us to keep our vehicles serviced and functional. We purchased new commercial front loader with residential Carato can attachment. Implementation of an updated pre-trip and post-trip inspection sheets for the vehicles. Next, please. Notable operational changes and goals for 24-25. Some of the same things that you've seen throughout the Public Works Department, again, are repeated there. I will highlight utilization of the Samsara GPS system to send real-time notifications about vehicle conditions and required service. that technological upgrade has allowed for us to be much more efficient and effective in maintaining and knowing what the status is, the mileage is, the status of our vehicles, when they need to be come in for oil changes and servicing, to stay up to date on that on a regular basis. And that's one of the responsibilities of the fleet maintenance department. Go back real quick. Goals, higher average service ratio for our vehicles, enact career progression plan for the training of our staff. So we need to invest in our staff and their training. Next, please. Thank you. Our operating budget, 26,000. We're talking about a $9,000 increase. Part of that is maintenance of the building and equipment maintenance. Next, please. Current staffing is 3 mechanics. And
There's no changes with that.
right. Well, actually, we got a truck change and a CS. Right.
Anything,
Yes.
not down there with.
With
the other
sanitation.
section.
Right. So that, are you following her? The
Yes,
85?
yes,
Okay.
because of the truck that is going on.
Right.
Right.
It's clear.
So
Right.
Exactly.
that's fleet maintenance, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, next, please.
Facilities.
All right.
At the end.
Hmm.
Just- Would it be fleet, while he's talking, fleet maintenance, that's mainly for all of the public work stuff, but does it, fleet maintenance also for other departments that have?
Cars and
Cars.
trucks. I would say yes.
So I'm just trying to figure out if it's fleet maintenance, why doesn't, those costs come out of other departments if they service other area, departments?
So specialized vehicles like the fire trucks and such would not,
now.
right? So you're talking about primarily the,
Vehicles and things like that.
Mhm.
right?
yes,
Or any other department that get it, so we just need to probably look at that.
That's their
so it's
services,
not
yeah.
Just hitting.
yeah.
Just-
I have to look at my methodology in that budgeting section where I do the administrative thing. and
Right.
I'll check that to
And
be
it might
sure.
not be much, I just-
Right. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, the bulk of it is gonna be sanitation, but.
Okay,
Okay.
I understand.
So I don't have a packet for the utilities department, so let's go through the slide. I don't have notes on that. Okay. This was the one that we weren't sure
Yeah.
that you were trying to update, right?
Well, I did go ahead and update my part that you asked me to. She'll get to it.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So installed a significant number of Neptune Drive drive-by reader.
That's
Re-
about 1,300, I think they did out of the 4,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
18 new commercial and residential water and sewer installations. Implemented staff training curriculum to increase staff safety, competency, and efficiency. Let's see, all those other items, stormwater explanation. So I don't believe that those are specifically utility items. So that's the piece that does not apply.
Okay.
So let's go to the next slide.
Oh, question on that.
Mhm.
When you say you implemented staff training, curriculum to increase staff safety. Now, does that correlate to, a fewer instances of accidents and in
Right.
addition to implementing certain, I guess, whatever that particular, area may be,
Mhm.
where from a knowledge-based standpoint, we improving efficiencies or effectiveness and all that stuff from those certifications. Do you see a improvement in those areas?
I have not seen that reflected as of yet, but that's an area that I feel is important to keep an eye on. We do a monthly assessment of whether or not individuals who have had accidents, whether or not those accidents are excusable accidents or not, or avoidable. I don't want to say excusable, but avoidable. I don't know if that necessarily correlates with regard to this specific safety and security, but that's something I could take a look at with those numbers that we have, the limited numbers that we have so far.
Thanks, sir.
Mhm.
Next.
Okay.
So, again,
Okay.
Are you going on to operational?
Right.
Yeah. Survey and assess stormwater system. So these are not utility goal specific.
That's the thing that's really
Mhm,
the
stormwater, right.
more than anything.
Let's,
So it would be better that we go to the next screen.
yeah.
Oh,
So-
so the one I updated didn't come there.
Yeah, so
I
zero,
did,
zero.
Yeah, well,
Great
I did update it. Let me, scroll
Good
to it.
savings.
That's okay. The current total for it, I can give it to you quickly.
Mhm.
It's, 20, it was, last year was 28,736,000 for the current total for the budget we're living in now. And the proposed, is decreased at 24,692,000.
Hmm.
So.
And I know that the commission was sensitive to the idea of whether or not to increase utility rates. What we have presented so far would not represent an increase in utility rates.
Right.
So I think we need to make sure that we revise that that slide presentation and provide that back to the commission so that they have an
That's
accurate
fine.
assessment for utilities. But the one thing I do want to note about utilities is that, and I think I mentioned this before slightly, we asked the PGA to look into the Palatka Gas Authority, not the golf course, to look into an automated software that would allow customers to access their water data usage. Right now, if there's a leak, the time frame from the leak beginning to a credit coming back is about 3 months. And it's a significant timeline because you don't really know that you have a leak until you get your bill. You say, what the heck is this? And then you call in and they compare it and assess it. And
It's a painful process.
it is. It
I've
is.
had calls on it, and I've had experience with it, so.
Right.
yeah.
I've had two.
Mm-hmm. So with this system, this portal should give you virtually real-time access to your water usage rate. I say virtually real-time because it's 24-hour cycle. So you can go in and take a look to see if your water is running at 2 o'clock at night when nobody's using it. And that would help identify that you've got a leak in real time and virtual real time 24-hour period. And then equip you with the information so you can get it fixed. So we're going to shorten the time from 3 months down to virtually a month. Right now, PJ is writing off about $60,000 to $90,000 a year in losses due to credits associated with leak usage.
Well, I didn't get a credit, but.
Right.
Absolutely. So is this an app or is it a web app or
It
is
is
it an app you can download?
It is a web-based app. So I mean, not an app, but it's a web-based program portal.
Okay.
They did take, yes,
Oh, wow.
and you have to log on. And they did take our feedback that we'd like to see them develop an app as a result of that. And so they're taking that into consideration.
So what's the name of the app again?
Neptune.
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 Yes, My Neptune, I think it is.
We need to get that out to the general public.
Right.
That need to be
I don't know,
like
push that on the water bills.
sending out on the
Mhm.
water bills and other communication,
Right.
radio, whatever.
Right.
Newspaper, all the media
Mhm.
outlets that we've developed.
Mhm.
And also as we go out and do various community things, we
Mhm.
let the people know about
What's
these-
coming.
Yes, nice QR code. And, okay. And so the cost of that to get it set up is estimated to be 18,000 to set it up. Nothing
Right.
compared to the 90,000. Right.
Right, and the
right.
recurring is much
Right.
less.
Yes, it's a
Recurring
yearly.
is only about 7,000 a
It's
year.
gonna help PGA save money because they
Right.
won't be writing off so much.
Exactly,
it's
Yes.
immediate.
right.
And I
Right.
think you were just saying that it saves the water loss, which is an asset. Right.
Right.
The treasurer.
We're winning all the way around.
Yes.
And so the major reason for the reduction in this particular fund is primarily grant related.
Okay.
So a lot of the grants have been completed in this year that's not on the next year's budget.
Okay.
So a few of them, but they're significant in amount, like, for instance, FDP portable water. Last year, that was 3.5. This year it's only 2.1 million. The city match for RIF for St. John was $500,000. This year, next year is 0. So it's items like that. We had a revolving loan for Palatka Heights. Well, we're done with that. So that was 1.8 million. So it's not in this particular budget for next year. So that's the reason why the fund went down, the budget went down from 28 million to 24 million. That's what I wanted to point out.
Okay.
And final comment is our capital, just to give you all an appreciation for the capital investment of the entire budget for 24-25. The capital portion, I do have it by fund, but I'll just get to the nit of it, is 35 million of the 76 million. Okay, and general fund is the main section we're looking at. Capital represents 17% of our general fund for our budget. And for utilities, it's 47%. So we're just letting you know that we're staying on top of it as much as we can understand.
They're 47%.
It's 47% for utilities fund, it's 17% for general fund.
And our overall budget is 76 million this year.
Well, but in order to balance our budget, we're gonna have to get it down, yeah. So I'm just talking about where we are right now.
I thought we were higher than that last year, weren't we? Like,
We- I-
90? Was it 90?
Last year was 75 million, I think.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're next, it's the finance department, is that next?
You're here, unless you don't, have you gone?
Can you say that question to me?
Did you want to?
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you want?
You're between us and the weekend.
Mhm.
Yes, you are.
Let me run.
Just not enough Commissioner Campbell's still there, but Peter and I found the signs in the. dungeon,
Yes,
and we
I saw
brought
them.
over To St. John's Auto Body.
Right.
in
Perfect.
Gardner. It was great.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
finally.
Perfect.
Going better?
Didn't say.
Okay,
but you
Finance
remembered I didn't
Department.
call, which I didn't, and I apologize. Go ahead.
Finance Department. Oh, good, I can read. So achievements, completed the audit and a clean opinion, and also completed it before that due date of June 30th, accepted by the commissioners. The most important thing about the audit this year is that our net position increased by 9.5 million. I mean, that is very significant. And I don't think that the commissioners understood what the results of that particular audit was. A good portion of that, about 4 million of that, was related to corrections and so forth that, was discovered by our staff. 1.4 million because of enhancing the procedures for how we complete our bank reconciliations. 3.3 million was because in prior years, receipts were not categorized correctly. So I went back. I went all the way back to 2018 and did those corrections, and that cost our fund balance to increase by 3 million. So so that's really important as far as I'm concerned. Quarterly reporting was reestablished, as you all know, and now with the city manager, you all have recommended monthly, so we will start doing that. but the reporting had been improved anyway with graphs and charts and analysis. We've been given seminars, finance department to department heads. We've been providing training also to our user departments. And, oh yeah, we're in the midst of converting the airport transactions so that they're consistent with the rest of the city. So basically, finance department have maintained the following statistics. We've processed 5,682 invoices, paid 3,125 vendors. We set up 113 new vendors, created 3,000 purchase orders, and also created 37 new customers. Next, the notable operations for the year that's coming. We want to implement, I did not see, what I believe in is that when we open up our ADG, we should be able to see the source documents. So we have implemented it already successfully for the account payable process, and I'm trying to get that started for accounts receivable as well. We've also already improved various forms such as budget transfers. I've begun extensive training with staff for grant reporting and accounting. Also did a new process, which is why now when we issue our quarterly reports, you can see that the net results is positive instead of negative. The reason is because now I'm having them send grant reimbursements in on a monthly basis, not quarterly or whatever weird system was going. Oh, not weird, but whatever system, excuse me, was going on. Sorry for that word. So monthly financial reporting is being done. Our goals is, we're going to do something new where I want department heads to know exactly where they are. So we're going to start doing department reporting. We're already doing cross-training, and we've already started enhancing staff training and certification. So we're already doing that now. Next. And finally, we didn't increase too much our operating budget from 42,000 to 43,000. Next. Personnel, we keep the same, we keep our same level. And the most important thing is that our existing financial services supervisor is retiring, but we are already training the person now while she's here that will take her place when she leaves in October. So we have that person on board already. And we will be doing more things like internal reviews, making sure that we're adhering to policies and procedures. We'll start doing more of that. And I think that's enough. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. And with that said, any more questions? Are you ready to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All right.
Have a nice weekend.
Next
Have
time
a
we
good
see
evening.
you, you will have a balanced budget.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. You all have a great evening.
Thank you.